Election day. Oh boy, oh boy. Project 2020.
Bada bing, bada boom. Rider Shores. You ready for this, kitty cat? Let's do this.
Yeah.
genocide will be our end. I just hope that these people realize that that's the reason why they voted. Yeah, why do you think they voted for it? It's just fucking obvious. But anyway, let's watch it. Here we go.
When Trump has been in DC throughout the time that I've been here and there are large rallies, that is when I will get called a bigot or transphobic slurs just by the presence of this man as supporters in town. The
Splitting some logs. I'll pay you a fair rate. Okay. How do I do that? Yeah. Okay, I'll be back in a while.
atmosphere alone is really damaging. And then on top of that, the legislation. Project 2025 is a set of legislation that has been prepared by the Heritage Foundation and proposed to Donald Trump as a set of laws to enact once he...
Which, by the way, audio quality? Yeah, sorry, there's like another audio thing in the background.
He gets elected into office. Right on that first page, it describes transgender people as pornographic inherently, and throughout the pages of this document, it moves for legislation that would ban this quote-unquote pornographic material from being around kids. What this does in practice is transgender parents or people who have transgender children would be restricted from seeing their own children, among other things. There's this belief that trans people are inherently sexual, that their identity is based on being sexually predatory, when the reality is that trans people are just like cisgender people. They just want to live their lives in peace.
I voted Kamala. Kamala is just clearly better. She definitely slays. We don't need a revolution.
Oh boy.
We need a stable leader who...
By the way, I think that most people are actually on board with people that are trans. I think that the real contentious issues are trans people competing in sports, trans people using non-traditional, like what's the word for it? Sorry, I'm stupid. Non-traditional pronouns like Z, Zer, stuff like that. And I think that's a big issue. I think it's also using bathrooms. Not at all. No, I think that actually, and then also the idea of like trans kids, I think is extremely polarizing. And that's what pushes people away. I think that if you just look at being transsexual as a base issue, I think that most people tolerate that. But it's all of the other ways that, like, society is expected to conform around it that pushes people away. Poll chat. Okay, sure. I can poll it. Yeah, why not? Wow. So basically the thing that I said that most people think turned out to be the thing that most people think. Wow. And so if you look at the overall actual I don't support trans, it's only in the 20%. And that's what I'm saying, is that, yes, obviously there are some people. Yeah, I'll give the link again. There are some people who don't support trans. And also keep in mind that this this poll that we're doing right here is kind of problematic because, like, I'm talking about, like, American audiences and American population, and a lot of you guys probably aren't from America. Like, I could have people in the chat right now, I guarantee you that I do, that are in countries that it is literally illegal to be trans. And there's another part which is pre-up and post-op. You post this, can you make sure this post gets put on Reddit as a clip? There have been a lot of people, like, I have no problem polling my audience and then getting what people think about stuff. Yeah, sure. I do not support is so high is scary. I mean, sure. Like, I don't agree with that either. I'm just saying this is what people think. And also, by the way, you have a super majority. If only 20 people don't support it, that means 80% of people do. It's realistic. Not everybody is going to agree with you. Not everybody is going to think that you're doing the right thing. You have a super majority with this. You can't expect everybody to see the world the same way that you do.
Can continue us on the path we're going.
Yo, what's up, guys?
Yo.
Channel 5 election season 2024, November 5th, Washington, D.C.
I love the LGBTQ community, but they are sadly deceived.
As y'all can see, there's a fence. Past that is the Horseman of the Apocalypse, Robert E. Lee. No, Abraham Lincoln. Behind him is scaffolding. Behind the scaffolding is the White House. And somebody new is about to move in 24 hours. I must say, I was here exactly 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And the vibes were much more intense. There was a lady scream here.
Yeah, this is what I was saying. 2020 was much worse than this time. This time was like nothing compared to that. Yeah, and this is with your right-wing audience, you know? Yeah, I know. Like, this is... again... Like, the reason why people say I have a right-wing audience is because I don't ban people for having right-wing opinions. That's the reason why. Like, I don't actively, like, demonize and repudiate and hate people for doing that.
They're yelling at each other. There was cameras
Even though I don't
everywhere.
agree.
There was tension in the air. Right now, there is not much tension in the air.
Oh.
You got my guy right here, just chilling. What are we
Yeah.
thinking?
I'm going for Trump. I don't know. I think it's got on the economy a little more than the current administration. Yeah, lower taxes.
Another young guy. Another young dude.
They did with immigration as well, just kind of securing the border. I know many migrants. I go to school in D.C., so.
You like them?
Do I like them?
You're homies with them? Like, are they homies?
Yeah, I am. Migrants.
Would you be pissed if they got deported?
Imagine how yeah, probably, yeah.
Who am I voting for? Kamala.
I voted Kamala this election.
I'm voting for Kamala Harris. As an atheist Jewish man, I just want to let everyone know that freedom of religion is real. I've been seeing those protesters bring their religion on other people, and I decided to go
What?
to TV.
I paused. So being Jewish is both a, it's both a religion and also an ethnic group. Because I was like, wait a minute, but then it's like, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yes, straight this way, just to make signs counter-protesting against their actions.
What are we thinking?
I'm thinking that no matter what happens, Jesus reigns. We cannot have wholesale abortion being promoted in our nation. We cannot have a furtherance of the transgender confusion that is really being enforced from the top down.
How are we going to solve the transgender confusion?
By introducing people to the love of God, because the love of God changes people's hearts.
Well, this is the White House Peace Vigil, otherwise known as the William Thomas Memorial Land Peace Vigil. We don't believe the war machine should be the base of economy, so hashtag no war. We don't believe in nuclear bombs, nor do we believe in nuclear electricity, so hashtag no nukes. And we believe in justice in every individual case, justice for all, so hashtag justice.
For those who don't know, what
Hashtag, oh my God, there she is. The woman who ruined the election right there. Uh-oh. Here we go.
is the war machine?
Very simply put, we are now spending about half of our congressional budget, $1 trillion a year, on endless wars. Endless
That's
wars.
a lot of money.
And 800 military bases around the world. We are spending more than the next 10 nations combined. The next 10 biggest spenders, we're spending more, mostly on weapons.
The war machine is also the biggest polluter in world history.
With like fossil fuels and its carbon emissions and stuff.
Yeah, and I don't know how we can beat that system, but it needs to happen.
Obviously, there's a lot of people in my generation who are casting ballots for third-party candidates like Jill Stein because of the war in Gaza. What do you say to those people?
Well, I voted for Harris, and I'm hoping Harris wins.
I'm in school for...
That's completely fair. Like, I think that it was really problematic, and it always is when you have people that think that you owe them their vote for voting for the lesser of two evils. I think if somebody wants to vote for Jill Stein because they don't like the military-industrial complex, I think that's extremely fucking fair.
Teaching now, I'm in my last year, and I work with kids who are at risk for going into the school-to-prison pipeline, kids who are in poverty and at a higher...
School-to-prison pipeline. Does that exist? Just don't commit crime. That doesn't... What are you talking about? What? Just stop committing crime. It's so obvious.
Ending up in the criminal justice system.
Here in D.C.?
Yeah, I also am against voting for people who are complicit in genocide, but I believe strongly, like, if they're both complicit in genocide, I want to do what I can to protect my kids here who get benefits from federal programs. Like, my kids can't afford supplies, my kids can't afford food, my kids... Also, I'm concerned about what I'm going to be able to teach. I was at a conference a couple weeks ago for youth in the justice system, and someone in Louisiana is a teacher. They are not allowed to say the words diversity, equity, inclusion in schools. And like just with bullying, straight up, you're not allowed to say the word inclusion. I'm worried about what I'm going to be able to say to them. I worry about teaching evolution. I'm in middle school, so I don't have to worry about sex ed as much. But like, I had a kid last week ask me, what's it called when a man dresses up like a woman? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not allowed to tell you. I didn't say that, but I was like, I don't know. And another kid was like, I think it's called a drag king. And then another kid's like, have you seen DraftKings? They have the best ads.
Let me guess, the DraftKings ads are ones with hot girls wearing very little clothes. Am I right? Because she's talking about middle school boys? Yeah? Who could have guessed? Big shocker there, huh?
It's not like a
And sports, yeah.
isolated incident. That's what the majority of American children are going through.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm voting Kamala because I want to be able to teach my kids. I want them to not be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah. And this is the reality is that a lot of people out in America don't want students, like they don't want their middle school teachers telling their kids about transgenders and about like different types of like LGBT issues. That's really what it comes down to. There are a lot of people out there that do not want that. It's the vast majority. I'm not sure if it's the vast majority. Like, if you want my take on it, I don't think that maybe it should necessarily be curriculum, but the idea that a teacher can't answer a question about it, I think is oppressive, and I don't think that it's beneficial. So, like, that's what I think.
Them to get the resources that I think they'll get. And if I can't protect kids abroad, I want to protect my kids here.
What do you think about what's going on?
True.
You think dogs should be able to vote?
Yeah.
You feel like a politician represents your interests? Anyway? No? Swing voter, undecided, doesn't want to talk to us, doesn't trust the media, doesn't trust the fake news.
That's right, bro. Like, he says, I don't want to have somebody tax my ball.
Either. They don't represent pups properly, but we're going to for the first time. Free all the pups.
Don't tread on my
I don't mean free
ball.
the pup like I don't want the pup to have an owner, but free the pup from the bondage of, other dogs.
My name is Liam.
Liam, who you voting for?
I voted Kamala. Kamala is just clearly better. She definitely slays. I really like what her and Biden have done over these past few years with the CHIPS Act and with promoting American semiconductors. My big thing is artificial intelligence and AI policy. I think that America needs to stay ahead on that. And I think that Biden-Harris has done a good job with AI
So are you
policy.
pro-AI?
True. Actually, like everything. Yeah, true.
AI or anti-AI?
I'm generally pro AI. I'm not pro like never regulated at all. It's like defensive accelerationism. You accelerate, but you also keep safeguards to make sure it goes well.
What are the top 3 benefits of AI?
I actually think this is, yeah, this is good. He's based. Yeah, he's informed. Exactly. This is great.
Probably medicines and biology. Like we can do so much.
Thank fucking God. Holy shit. Thank fucking God. Somebody realizes that AI is extremely beneficial for things other than making pictures of anime girls with big boobs. Yep.
Engineering to cure diseases and fix problems. Already we've seen it where even a lot of like agriculture companies are like making it much more efficient, or genetic engineering so that you can make larger crops for less money. And then I think you'll start to see that you'll have a return of American manufacturing, and you also just get cheaper and better quality consumer goods for the average person.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, by the way. Everything this guy said was based.
AI is really useful for teaching. Like, students are more likely scientifically to remember lessons that they're interested in. So if I filter my lesson plan through ChatGPT and be like, rewrite this with the same lesson objectives for a kid who's really interested in FIFA, or for a kid that's really interested in Minecraft, and it gives me the same lesson where like...
I wonder if that actually works.
I can teach the same lesson, but the worksheet or the homework I give them is going to relate it to them.
And then just creating entirely new experiences that we couldn't have even imagined before. Like the idea that I could immediately generate an image or generate a song just in 3 seconds. Like I made a song last night even.
What was the song about?
About the election, actually. About different people who are going to be voting this time.
What are some of the lyrics in that song?
Somewhere in America, there's a young Latino man. No job, no education, not a single long-term plan. He listens to Joe Rogan and thinks our country's gone to shit. He blames his problems on China and wants Trump to deal with it.
It's unfortunate that...
There was a lot of them, huh?
Like, patriotism is seen as like synonymous with MAGA when it really isn't. I think part of being an American patriot is accepting that we're a diverse country where people from around the world can come here and make this country great. So the idea that you make it great by like rejecting immigrants or doing mass deportations is just vile to me.
I think that a lot of people don't dislike legal immigration, but the idea that like I don't really understand why mass deportations are bad, but deporting people individually is good. Like it doesn't, I don't really understand the logic there. So if deporting people who come here legally is bad, is bad, wouldn't it be bad if it happens to one person? Like I don't really understand this. It's semantics. Yeah, I don't get it.
Sir, what do you think's better, the original Swag Surfing song or the Lil Wayne remix on No Ceilings?
I like the original. It's best.
Respectfully disagree. Have a good one.
That is badass.
Man.
Holy shit, bro. This guy's in Cyberpunk.
It's been a minute. But I guess it's good that it's a chill vibe.
Yeah, I don't think anything's gonna pop off tonight. Stuff. The days after, you gotta watch out for.
Oh boy. Oh boy, they got everybody ready to pop off. Yep, there it is. Wow.
That's when shit's gonna get real. When the election results gets called, probably on like Thursday or Friday, that's when shit's gonna hit the fan.
You working down here?
Huh? Yeah.
What's your field of employment?
I work in policy. I work in environmental policy.
Like reducing carbon emissions and stuff?
Yeah, reducing carbon emissions, fighting climate change, and making good, sound environmental policies.
A lot of people say that, like, Trump being elected again is a huge kind of defeat for the environmental policy sector.
Oh, yeah. Because if you read through Project 2025 at all, it's all about deregulating, shutting down a bunch of good environmental offices.
Why is it that everybody thinks that Trump is going to do Project 2025 when he said multiple times that he wasn't going to do Project 2025? Why do people think that? I don't understand. Like, it's confusing to me. Does left-wing media claim that he was going to regardless? Yeah, I don't understand that at all. Probably because people lie? Yeah, but like, why do people believe the lie? Like, of course people lie. That's easy to understand. But it's hard to understand why people hear the lie and they say, yeah, true. It just doesn't make sense.
Throughout the government, whether it be in the, DOJ, DOI, DOE. I think we've come to the point in politics where most Republican members of Congress are not ignoring climate change, but you're like, it's not such a big deal. So we need to focus on the economy and just keep on pushing through and just bring back.
I know this might get some contention from some of the people that are like, I guess maybe brainwashed. I'm actually a big person. Like, I'm really worried about climate change. I am. I think it's a really big problem. I think that, if you want my honest opinion, I think it's probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, existential problem worldwide. Like, it's not immigration. It's not, like food prices or anything. I actually think it's climate change. It's crazy. Overpopulation? No, that's been disproven multiple times. He's right. I don't care. Yeah, nuclear war is. Yeah, sure. But, like, I think it's about probability. We can't play God with the weather. The climate's always changing, bro. It's been changing since the beginning of time. Yeah, but, like, I mean, I don't see the logic that, so there's, like, a lot of ways that you can look at it that, like, so think about how, like, the BP oil spill negatively affected the Gulf of the Gulf of Mexico, right? Or you can think about how, like, you can put, like, one drop of food coloring in, like, a glass of water, and it will turn the entire glass of water into that type of food coloring, right? And then I think about, like, if you smoke a cigarette in a room, and then the room smells like a cigarette. And then I think about, like, cities where there are a lot of pollution. And then I think to myself, okay, well, what are the odds that, like, this could happen on, like, a really, really big scale? And then also, another big issue is that if, like, you think about, like, the conditions for life that occurred on Earth in order for life to occur, there are so many instances of, like, stars, well, actually, in this case, literally aligning, where it caused life to happen because of so many precise measurements that all happened at the same time. And so if you look at, for example, like, let's say you're trying to chart a course across, like, an ocean, and you're off by maybe 1 degree, by the time you get to the other ocean, you could be in an entirely different country. So I just don't, like, logically, I can't wrap my head around the idea that climate change isn't real, because it goes against all logic and thinking that I've come to realize. I can't, yeah, I can't not think that it's real.
Those good old paying old jobs.
Yeah. If you were to be staring down, like, a total climate change denier who is asking you for one concrete real life example that showed evidence of climate change,
I'll say just go to Florida, where I'm from. We get hit by at least one hurricane every year. That is not normal. People's houses literally flood every year down there. So
I think that that argument is why people don't care about climate change and don't take it seriously. Look at Florida, because, like, nobody has a frame of reference for that. Like, it's such a bad argument.
Yeah, just go down, live in one of those coastal beach towns and stuff, and see how every few years people's houses literally get destroyed and they need to rebuild. Those storms or hurricanes are only getting intenser and intenser as, climate change becomes a bigger issue.
It's gonna freak me the fuck out to be in a Channel 5 video.
Channel 5 live worldwide, Hollywood and Vine. Fuck the authority, Channel 5 News. Channel 55. We don't fuck with custers, and 5 is the best number.
I actually think this video was pretty good. Like, he interviewed some people that were not completely fucking insane, and I think that they had some really good points, and they talked about things in a way that was reasonable. I really liked that a lot. Yeah, I think this was a great video.
A year ago, there was an insufferable loser by the name of Tanner who made headlines by getting himself shot performing one of his garbage pranks just harassing a stranger in public at the mall. He quickly found out this was the wrong one here when the guy pulled out the stick and gave him a Five Nights at Freddy's jump scare, blasting him in the stomach. I covered the story as well as the subsequent acquittal of the shooter. They accepted his claim of self-defense because he was fearful with what Tanner was doing because the prank was so fucking degenerate. However, he still faced an unlawful discharge of a firearm charge. I'm not here to just dive into that case too much, but when this happened, for the first time in Tanner's life, he made people laugh. Everyone was giggling at this story about the dumb, imbecile, idiot YouTube prankster getting himself shot by harassing a stranger for these deplorable pranks that nobody likes. Pranksters like Tanner are more hated than cockroaches, so there weren't many people that were sympathetic to his situation, especially with his attitude after the fact as well. But most people hoped that Tanner would learn a valuable lesson from this near-death experience where he nearly traded in his life for a couple tiddlywinks of internet clout. And, well, I wanted to give you a little update on Tanner today, because it's actually a tragic story. You see, when Tanner was on the hospital bed, he made a solemn vow that put tears into the eyes of everyone across the globe when he raised his fist to lead a revolution and said, "This will not stop me. I will continue to do pranks and be a public nuisance to all of those around me. Mark my words." A beautiful speech that inspired nobody except the most brain-dead individuals on the planet who are still too busy huffing glue to even remember Tanner's name. And well, sports fans, I've got a sad ending to share with you. Tanner is still doing pranks to this day. In fact, the same pranks that got him shot in the first place. And he's doing it to the tune of 15,000 views a video. Despite getting shot, despite being a spittoon that the entire world was hawking loogies into and making fun of, despite common sense telling you that you should probably stop for the sake of survival, he disregarded all of it and continues to do pranks to this day for 15,000 views of video.
He's not stopping recording me. He keeps following me around the whole store.
I mean, maybe he's...
Yeah, I don't know.
Are you famous or something? You don't realize?
I don't even know, dude. Should we go ask him, like, if he's okay?
I think he's probably, okay.
Tanner might not be famous, but his story certainly is, about the stupid YouTube prankster that got himself shot. A lot of people have heard of it now as a cautionary tale to being a douchebag growing up trying to do pranks for clout. But no one would ever recognize Tanner for that, obviously. But this is one of his more recent pranks, where he just goes up to workers at Walmart and says that his cameraman is following him around filming him, pretending he doesn't know who it is. And that's the whole thing. Nothing happens, like there's no jokes, there's nothing humorous. It's actually just idle dialogue that you would skip in a role-playing game. I think the most pathetic part isn't even him getting shot and continuing to still do this trash. What's the most pitiful aspect is that he's still so dog shit at it. Even the prank community that exists hate him because he is so boring and lame. Like, he is just bad at everything he does. He has no personality, he doesn't do any jokes, and his pranks are just like him wasting time. He just traps people in an inescapable dialogue tree of emptiness. It's just a void. There's nothing to even watch. It's actually a nothing burger. The only reason he even gets 14 to 15,000 views on these videos is because it's people that are still clowning on him for getting shot a year ago. So every comment in the comment section is people just reminding him and surprised that he's still doing it and wondering why.
But I don't know. It's kind of weird.
I've never seen nothing like it.
No, not at all. It's very strange.
If you go up there, they should be up there. The acid protection.
You guys mind walking me to them? I just get a little bit nervous when he follows me.
Oh.
Yeah, no. Hey, I'm gonna take his camera.
No, we can't take his camera, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't like that.
We're gonna tell you guys to just leave this one time? No, he keeps, I walk in here by myself and he keeps following me with his camera. Yeah, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know.
Okay, well.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks. Nothing is happening. I don't even know what there is to watch. The fact that not only did they record this, but then post it blows my mind. It's just employees being nice, trying to be helpful. Like nothing, like there's nothing even like remotely entertaining there. Like, if I miss a step going downstairs and I hurt myself, I'm more entertained by that pain than I am sitting here in this fucking purgatory that Tanner subjects people to with these videos. It's blowing my mind. Like, brother, just do something else. Christ, man, just throw in the towel on this whole prank career. Like, I'm surprised that he hasn't pivoted his content already to buying an Among Us potion off the dark web and drinking it at 3 a.m. or something. Really take YouTube back to its roots.
Partner, this guy, do you know who this is? He's following you around the store, and he's recording you. This guy right here. He's been following you for a while. I was like, I gotta tell you.
I have no idea.
What is he? What is he?
Takes me by surprise.
You doing all right? Oh, I'm doing good. I just was letting this guy know that I'm being followed with the camera, and he's not letting up.
Oh, this guy's following you?
Yeah.
Is something wrong with him, or?
Yeah, actually, there is something wrong with him. He's suffering from a terminal case of attention-seeking, a never-ending pursuit of internet brownie points. God rest his soul. You know what's even sadder to think about? Is when he got shot, that was probably the highlight of his life because there were eyes on him, finally. Like, his views on his videos blew up after he got shot because people found the channel and they wanted to go insult him and leave comments about it. And I think Tanner probably viewed that as a really positive thing, so now he's constantly chasing that high. Like, that was his magnum opus. Getting shot in a mall performing his trash YouTube pranks.
You are aware that it is a climate business, correct? Are you listening to him?
Yeah, oh, he doesn't say anything. He doesn't say anything.
You know what's almost as sad as Tanner is his cameraman, who I'm pretty confident isn't being paid to do this and is risking going to jail for the sake of Tanner's pranks and Tanner's pursuit of glory. Oof.
We're here at IKEA. I don't really know what we're gonna do. We're just freestyling. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna have to clear the area probably here in a bit. We have Drake coming through. He's gonna want to walk through and take a look at things. So we're gonna have to clear things up. I'm the personal security guard for Drake.
No, you're not.
He's actually right there.
No, you're not. You can go ahead and go. Let's go. Come on, let's go.
Where am I going?
Out, right now.
No, he's not supposed to talk because he's with Fox 5 News, and so his contract is, since he's getting hanging out with us, he has to.
Okay.
I know that this is funny to you.
Did you know Tanner calls himself a professional troll? And this is his trolling, saying Drake's coming through, and then just wasting workers' time. That's it. Also, everyone he interacts with treats him like a fucking dog, like snapping, telling him where to go because they recognize how dumb Tanner is. Like, he is a very moronic man, and they have to cater to that. They know that this is a prank, clearly. And Tanner breaks character by busting a gut when he says his cameraman can't talk. I don't even understand what there is to even smile about. It's nothing. Actually nothing. So they're getting served trespassing warnings, and it's literally just wasting people's time. Not only the workers, but anyone who unfortunately stumbled across the video. This goober got shot for degenerate pranks and still keeps doing it. That's a disease. You need help, Tanner. Holy shit. Anyway, I just wanted to give you a little update here. That's it. See ya.
Why are men moving right? Now, in my opinion, I think the answer to this is fucking obvious.
Hello everyone, and happy 1-year anniversary to my male loneliness epidemic video. I'm happy to announce that since that video uploaded, the discourse has greatly improved. People all around the world are taking men's issues more seriously.
Well, that stopped after Kamala lost. Yeah, that's over. This was like a video from before the election. Yeah, that's done.
The gender war has finally come to an end. Just kidding, everything has gotten worse and nobody has learned anything. From the witches on The View cackling about how men are useless.
Do we need men?
This is the same woman, by the way, that was upset the other day that men didn't vote for Kamala Harris. It turns out, in fact, you did need men. Kinda interesting, huh?
Men are useless. I mean...
To women online saying they'd rather be stranded in the...
Yeah, there it is. There it is, man. Well, that's what you get.
the woods with a bear than a man.
Would you rather be stuck in a forest with a man or a bear?
The bear. Bear. It seems that things have gotten more toxic than ever, and the gender divide couldn't.
I feel like that's one of those questions. It's like a retard indicator. Like if you think that, I automatically think that you're stupid. Like it's not even that. Like it makes me mad. I just like, oh, okay, so you're just, yeah, you don't think about things the right way.
Be any wider, especially politically.
In 2008, 58% of young people leaned Democratic. 2012, 53%. And in the last two major election years, that percentage held steady at 55%. But in 2023, that number dipped below 50% for the first time since 2005.
Yep.
And you'll notice right here, they've started to lean more Republican. And that's partly because of one specific group.
Because of guys.
Young men.
That's right. The man problem.
Okay, I know I said I was going to focus on the gender war and not talk about politics for a while. However, I found a loophole. Politics is talking about gender war. With this election being hailed by the media as the man versus woman election, according to any and all data coming out recently, men all around the world have shifted more right, and women have shifted more left. But women going more left was not the focus of this month's outrage. The outrage, of course, was about men. That's right, we got our yearly, oh no, what is happening to men? Why are they moving to the right freak out. But unlike last year, this freak out isn't solely happening on the internet, no. It's also
another big difference about last year's freakout is that this year's freakout was codified by an election. That's the big difference, I would say. That's a real big fucking difference.
Happening in Washington, D.C.
There are only 46 days until Election Day, and the Harris-Walz campaign is struggling to appeal to a group of voters that could determine the outcome of the election, and that is men.
The Harris campaign is making an aggressive last-minute effort to win over younger male voters.
Am I really going to make a video criticizing the Democrat Party days before the election? Of course I am. Now, before you celebrate or grab your pitchforks, this is not a pro-Trump video. This is a
Okay, so it's a pro-Trump. See, the thing is that it's really funny how everybody who makes videos on the internet now has to preface this stuff, and you literally can't. Again, you can't reason a person out of a position they didn't reason themselves into. The people that believe this shit, they believe it. They're not believing it based off of like, oh, I evaluated the facts and this is my conclusion. No, they believe this because they're mad. They're upset. That's the reason why.
Do better video.
It's not logical,
this is a
at all.
mommy's not mad, she's disappointed video. Actually, I lied. Mommy's pretty mad. In this video, I am going to be addressing the Democrats' so-called man problem, the recent discourse about men moving right, the last-minute pandering the Democratic Party is doing to get them back, what they could be doing instead, and of course, going over some terrible opinions. Not my opinions. I have never had a bad opinion in my life.
Yes,
except that one opinion. We don't talk about that.
I got banned for.
In a world where it seems like everything men do and like is toxic, from eating meat to working out to
how gym bro culture is harming young men, the pressure to get jacked is sparking a male mental health crisis and driving men into the arms of the far right. It's just like this kind of thinking is just, it's so stupid.
Having a beard.
Why men's with beards are sexist. And you know what's really funny about this? Is I bet the reason why this got written is just because of J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance has a beard, so beards are sexist. It's just so, like, it's so fucking stupid, I can't even believe it. True, yes.
Oh wait, that reminds me. Before we get into this video, let's quickly give a shout out to today's video sponsor, Henson Shaving. If you've used a multi-blade razor, you're probably familiar with this story. Irritation, razor burns, and maybe even ingrown hair. Studies show 2/3 of men
I used to try to shave within 1 minute. I would like speed run it. And I would take photos, like if you search Asmongold shave, I would take photos to see how much that I would bleed.
Experience some form of irritation after shaving. It's something they just expect at this point. They deal with overpriced blades, irritated.
I was actually gonna show like how I shave and get ready, but then I did it, and then I realized if I uploaded it, I would get banned to on YouTube because of gore.
And think that's just the way it has to be. Until now. Henson Shaving is on a mission to improve shaving with real innovation and a focus on your skin's health.
Speedrun shaving.
Their razors are made with solid aluminum, making them not only durable but
This
environmentally
does look like if Trump made razors, I think that they would look like that.
friendly too. There's
Solid
no plastic
gold,
involved at
bigger
all,
than it
even
has
in the
to be.
packaging.
Yeah.
And the blades are fully recyclable. What really sets Henson apart is their engineering, with their Henson AL-13 safety razor being manufactured in an aerospace machine shop that built parts for the International Space Station. This precision allows the blade to extend just 1/1000th of an inch beyond the shave plane, less than the thickness of a human hair. The razor prevents any bouncing or skipping, resulting in an irritation-free shave every time. Henson even partnered with a medical imaging startup, and results indicated that the Henson AL-13 razor significantly reduces razor burn in comparison to conventional multi-blade razors.
See, I always thought that, like, if I shaved long enough, the razor burn and the bleeding would stop. I invented this myself. And do you want to know what's really funny? It worked. I never bleed now. See? Completely fine.
Switched to using Henson as my go-to razor brand, my shaves have been more silky and smoother than ever. No more burns or cuts, just a close shave that feels amazing. In other words, no more leg beard. The best part is, once you invest in a Henson razor, it's a lifetime purchase. The only thing you need to repurchase are the blades, which only cost 10 cents each. 10 cents. So once you own a Henson razor, you'll only be spending $3 to $5 a year on blades, compared to the ongoing cost of buying those expensive plastic cartridges. Henson store offers a variety of colors, so you can pick the razor that best fits your style. So head over to hensonshaving.com/shoe and use my special discount SHOE at checkout to get 100 blades for free with your purchase of a Henson razor. Your skin and your environment will thank you. Big thank you to Henson.
No, I'm not going to make the joke. Let me just move on.
For sponsoring this video, and thank you for not skipping the ad. You didn't skip the ad, right?
No, we're not.
And now, let's get back to the video.
We don't need to do that.
If you are a regular viewer to the Shoe on Head channel, first of all, I'm sorry. But also, you know by now, I have been documenting the internet and society in general's growing and widely accepted hatred of men. This has been happening for a very long time. And if you dare spoke up about it, you were called an incel or a pick-me, depending on your gender. But seemingly, almost out of nowhere, there has been a change of heart.
Well, the reason why there's been a change of heart is because there's enough of them now. It's not like people became more understanding. It's just that people realized that they couldn't just hand wave it away. A very important component.
So, I think men are in crisis, actually, in this country. I think that plays out different ways, but I think we need to have a real conversation about that.
Wow, that's interesting. Mainstream media talking about this? I wonder why they care so much now. Democrats fear Harris losing too many male voters to Trump.
Well, how about that?
Oh. Signs have been mounting that, for the first time in recent decades, Democrats may lose majority support from young men in 2024. The risk to Democrats is that this is not just a one-time fluke, but an indication of growing trouble with men in coming elections. Democrats can celebrate the support they are getting from young women, but they also need to take
It's actually crazy if you can't see why Democrats don't get support from young guys. Just hang it up. Get another job. Get another one.
Disaffection of young men seriously,
it's so
engage
obvious.
them directly, and respond to the visions of manhood and masculinity that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are offering. All right, Kamala, you got 2 weeks to reverse anti-male propaganda and resentment fueled by our government, media, and institutions. How you gonna do it? Harris campaign creating space for white dudes. Oh!
I just like... It's just so... It's like even whenever this is like their version of like reverse racism, where they're like, we actually want to bring in white guys, and it's like it's like, is this what it feels like to be patronized for being a minority? Like, guys, is this what it's like? Like, because I read that title and I'm like, well, you fucking loser. Like, what do you mean?
That's a great idea. I mean, a little too late, but I'm
Yeah.
glad you're finally doing to be honest about role in history. Oh. It's always a
what?
space doing to be honest.
To be honest about role in history. Oh, okay. So yeah, space for them to take accountability for things that they didn't do. Right. Okay. Sure. True.
About role in history. Oh. It's always a
Yeah.
space for white men to talk about how much they suck.
What made
Yeah, and so the idea that you're going to tell a 21-year-old guy that he isn't going to have opportunities and advantages and privileges because of something his grandfather did, this really isn't a very good sell. And putting any sort of original sin on people are going to lose their minds on this. They're going to hate it. Yeah, their great-grandfather. Yeah, exactly. Well, men used to have this advantage. Yeah, but I don't have it, so why am I getting punished? Okay, well, that's just the way it is. It's systematic. Well, where's the system? The only system I see is privileges and scholarships for women. Like, any young guy, like, college and getting a job, and especially an entry-level job, are the two main experiences that every young man under 30 has probably gone through, one or the other, if not both. And in both of those circumstances, there are privileges and opportunities that are created for women that are not available for men. You can't tell somebody that they can't see what's directly in front of them. When you see these opportunities put out for getting women into STEM, and there's women that are getting invited in over somebody else who's a guy, or getting an extra privilege, or getting an internship at a company. Internships absolutely are meaningful. That's why people have them. Any guy that sees that is going to think that they're being discriminated against. And do you want to know why? It's because they are. When you categorize people by a group and you provide privileges to a certain part of that group and not the other part, you've just done a discrimination. Imagine that.
You start this group, White Dudes for Harris, and I suspect some of it has to do with the polling.
Yeah, for far too long, the left has essentially ceded white men to the MAGA right. There's large parts of the left who have gone out of their way to alienate white men over the last couple of years.
He's right.
And that's understandable in many ways. We decided that we wanted to create space for white men to be a part of electing Vice President Harris.
At the top of
the problem is that space is that the space is patronizing, and it feels like it's like tokenization. I wouldn't say it's like a minstrel or something like that, because I feel like that's so like it's so charged as a term, but it's almost like bringing out white people as like, see, look, they support us too. It's weird. Yeah, I think it's just like, it's unironically just weird. Everything about it is weird.
White Dudes for Harris organizer Ross Morales Roquito said he wanted to address what he called the elephant in the room.
To be their little whipping boy? Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, and big surprise, men don't want to be talked down to.
Ross Morales Roquito said he wanted to address what he called the elephant in the room, criticism surrounding an event organized for white men given the country's history of racism.
Nobody cares about the history of racism. If you talk to any young guy, any young white guy, they don't give a fuck about slavery. They don't care about any of this stuff. They weren't alive then. They don't know anybody who was alive then. It's completely irrelevant to their lived experience. So if you're going to tell somebody, yes, we're going to categorically discriminate against you and oppress you based off of something that you weren't a part of and nobody who is even alive was a part of, and probably you don't even know anyone who knew anyone that was a part of, guess what? You're going to get resentment. It's so fucking obvious. Why would somebody care about something that happened 150 years ago when it's not happening now and it's affecting them in a negative way? It's not even close. Like, I don't even know what to say. How can you possibly think this is an effective strategy? It was beaten to death in school over and over. Yeah, so was you typing that. You're banned. Stop it. Stop spamming. You typed it 5 times.
People felt uncomfortable about the call, he said.
Quit it.
Throughout American history, when white men organized, it was often with pointy hats on. They can't even have their gay
Wait,
little...
what? A lot of times, a lot of people felt uncomfortable about the call, he said. Throughout American history, when white men organized, it was often with pointy hats on. Did you know that when white men organized, it was also to get rid of slavery and to stop the Nazis in World War II? Like, this is just like, it's so... It's such a disgusting, ridiculous thing to say. And as a white guy, I find this to be incredibly offensive. I do. I would never vote for a person that would talk about me like this. Absolutely. Why would I support somebody who demonizes me and talks down to me? I would never do this, not in a million years.
Pointy hats on. They can't even have their gay little Zoom call where they circle jerk about hating themselves without their own movement going, yikes! A bunch of white males in one space? Seems kind of like the...
I've seen this. Seems like the KKK. Have you guys seen, like, I remember there was a recent article that was written, or like a statement made by like some games journalist. I think it was Jason Schreier, who he saw like a photo of a game studio and it was a bunch of white guys and he was complaining about it. I'm sorry, but like, if you do that, you're just you're making everything worse.
KKK. Black people can have their little groups and that's fine, but if a bunch of white people get together, well, that's just called BreadTube. Never mind. White dudes for Harris. I mean, she's doing pretty bad with Latinos too. What's next? Hombres con Harris? Oh.
Wait,
so basically men are leaving
what?
the Democratic Party in droves, and it's...
The Democratic campaign initiatives to mobilize the Hispanic male vote. Oh my God. I don't know what to say about this kind of stuff. Like, this is so... It's just so patronizing and insulting. It's unbelievable. Oh my God. That's so racist. Yes, it's actually just racist. Like... hombres? They're not hombres, they're Americans. Like, it... It's unreal. I don't know what to say.
So basically, men are leaving the Democratic Party in droves, and it's not looking too good for the Democrats. So it wasn't long until everyone's favorite discourse hit Twitter again. If Kamala loses, which is very possible, there needs to be a real discussion about how Democrats speak to and reach young men. If Kamala loses. If she wins, there doesn't have to be discussion.
That's right.
We shouldn't change anything. Clearly, we're doing everything right.
Yes.
To be clear, I'm not saying we need to worry about women less or change any positions. I'm saying the polling around young men is concerning, and if it turns out to be true, we need to have a discussion about how condescending we are coming off to a huge part of the electorate.
You want to know what's really funny is I bet this guy probably got a huge amount of hate for that comment, because he's completely right. If you condescend to people and you talk down to them and you just act like they're bad, they're going to act like they don't like you. It's a big surprise, right? I mean, what are we even talking about? Obviously, that's what happened.
To be clear, I'm not saying we have to change anything. I'm just wondering why men aren't voting for us. What? I am gonna regret posting this so hard. And oh boy did he. The replies were insane, to say.
What a surprise. What a surprise. Wow. Ooh. Who could have guessed?
The least. I must admit, I cringed reading most of this. I feel that one thing you didn't address is the systemic entitlement bestowed upon white men in the US. That sense of entitlement, that privilege they felt for eternity, is eroding.
What privilege is that?
I'm just starting to see your...
Like, if you go and you talk to a 21-year-old white guy now, what
just,
privilege are they actively enjoying?
First person you see, and then they start dropping stuff.
Where is
it?
it?
Grind a little bit of gear in order to kind of be able to.
I don't know. Where is? Yeah, I'm not sure.
Systemic entitlement they have felt for eternity.
Chapter 1 stuff is going to be.
They're like 22 years old. The f do you mean eternity? Who is this like?
Yeah, exactly. And again, if you look at the comment here, this is an older woman. Yeah. I'm sure that when you were growing up, things were worse. And that's bad. But if you take that and you fucking displace that trauma onto some new person, you can guarantee that they're going to be bad again.
Like 200-year-old man. So young men are snowflakes with hurt fifis because they're not the center of attention anymore. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Exactly. Yep. And Trump and Vance and Joe Rogan make them the center of attention, and then they win the elections. What a fucking surprise. Wow. Who could have guessed? It's a shock.
So are they poor little snowflakes, boo-hoo, or are they scary fascists that are going to turn America into the Handmaid's Tale? Because they can't be both. You either care about the future, or you don't. You cannot simultaneously hand-wave away men moving to fascism, but also fearmonger about it. Hi, man here. Maybe men just need to stop being absolute pieces of dog shit. It seems like the easiest thing to do.
This is just, man. Do you know what's the most sad about this? It's like these self-hating men that do this, and I personally think that the only reason guys make posts like this is to virtue signal to have girls think that they're good people. Like, they're basically trying to sell themselves out in order to, like, have girls like them. Beta cucks? Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, sure. They do it to attract lib girls? Yeah, exactly.
Do, right? I don't feel alienated or uncomfortable with democratic messaging because I'm not a complete wannabe fascist cheese dick incel loser who thinks he's the good guy.
To be fair, okay, just, oh shit, my dad's calling me. Hello? Hey, what's up? I told you why, well, all right, I'm gonna put you on speaker. Go ahead.
Okay, I said before, what the issue is, I repeat, what I said before was with this whole shit, all this shit about men, basically talking shit about guys who are more masculine, to use kind of in quotes there, guys who go to the gym, guys who go fishing, hunting, do things that guys do, rather than playing pickleball or something. Where all that started was the girly men. Like I say, the femboys of their time back in the 60s. They couldn't get laid, and they see all their competition gets or a bunch of it gets drafted off or joins the army or whatever, Marines or whatever, and there they are. All they gotta do is look like girls. They grow their hair long, and they suck up to the girls, and guess who gets laid? There's still, you go by any biker bar, you go anywhere, you're gonna see a bunch of chicks there, and they're out of them. There's gonna be the porkers, and there's gonna be regular ones and average ones, and there's gonna be a bunch of damn good-looking ones there too. Just as many as are up at the Galleria Mall.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right.
Stepford was.
Yeah, sure.
This all dates back to, I hate to admit it, my fucking boomer generation of girly men. And I had never had any respect for those fuckers. And, when I took any shit from them, they found out how much.
All right, okay. Okay, I'll give you a call later.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'll talk to you later. All right, bye.
I'll give you a call later.
Okay. Yep, there it is. There it fucking is. I totally agree, by the way. And guys now are doing the exact same thing. The way that they make women happy is by being subservient. They can't meet women's needs in other ways, so the only way they can is by being obedient and subservient.
Reddit and its consequences have been a disaster for the male race. They just need to get off their asses, stop playing video games, and get real jobs. First
Fair, probably true in a lot of cases.
First of all, what real jobs?
Yeah.
These guys are coming out of college with useless diplomas, and there are no jobs. Also, what?
Well, the real jobs that are out there have initiatives to have women get hired over them. So it's like, yeah, go get a real job, and then, by the way, it's rigged against you. Yeah, there's some, like, DEI initiative that puts you at the back of the line.
Touch boomer ass take. Get off your ass and stop playing those video games from the generation who watches TV 24/7. I don't want to hear it. Tell them to get therapy. Tell them whatever you told or gave to women in the 1950s. They made this.
Yeah, and there it is. Why the fuck would a guy that's born in the year 2001 give a fuck what happened in 1950? Why would he ever do, like, it's just, they're looking for revenge, not equality. They are. That's exactly right. Why would anybody give a fuck?
Bed, let them sleep alone in it, or be better men. Any other group of people, and it's, oh, boo-hoo, poor baby.
Well, this is the problem, is that, like, any time that there's a male issue, it's about how males should fix the issue. Every time that there's any issue about any other group, it's about how, well, it's also about how males should fix the issue too. That's what happens. I see it all the time.
We rewire all of society so your feelings aren't hurt. And then with men, it's get therapy. Be better. While there is truth in messaging needs to be better from
And it's like, and this is also coming from the women that are like turning on their cell phone and recording a video for TikTok while they're screaming because Kamala Harris lost. And this is like after they've pulled their hair out and they've been bed rotting for 4 hours. It's like, this is the person that's telling you be better. Some like psycho with 3 different colors of blue in their hair with a septum ring that lives at her mom's house at, you know, I was gonna say level 34, age 34. Like, what are we talking about? That's on like 3 different antidepressants, you know, screaming at you for you to be better.
Democrats as a whole, I reject that telling young men they need to be better is the problem. They are trash in their nature, and if they can't do the work to not be toxic waste of seed, that's on them.
Well, you can keep telling people that, but it doesn't make them want to vote. Yeah, big surprise. Telling people that they're trash in their nature is a very bad thing to get them to agree with you. Yeah, it really just doesn't work. And it's really funny for me to see this because it seems like they still haven't learned. Isn't it basically misogynistic, but against men? It's misandrous, that's the term. And it is. It literally is. It's actually just that simple.
Vote for my team, by the way. We may not want to hear it, but this is what the data reflects. There is a massive loneliness epidemic in this country, which is disproportionately affecting men. Instead of calling them incels or mocking them, we should be willing to hear out their concerns. Wow.
True. Very true. And by the way, if you don't hear out their concerns, that's totally fine. They'll find somebody else that does. And then once there's enough of them, they control all the branches of government, and then they take away abortion. Surprise! Haha! Gotcha, bitch!
Oh, a surprisingly good
That's
tweet
what
in
happens.
a sea of bullshit.
What do you expect?
That's nice to see. I could be wrong, but I'm assuming you're a straight white man, so yeah, go do something about it. Why are you guys bothering the rest of us with this? I can't figure it out.
The rest of us, isn't it a white guy? I mean, I feel like that's a white guy.
I would like for Democrats to win the election. Why do you care about men suffering? Because I want
Yeah, you want to win, obviously.
to win the election. Amazing. This is the issue right here. Start seeing men as people and not numbers in polls. That is step 1. You can't even do step 1. Anyway, there were thousands of these kind of tweets in response to this guy.
Oh, now after the election has been over, every single time that I look at Twitter, it's like some person who's mad about the election talking about how they're going to do something bad to a person who has a different political opinion than them. And I want to say, like, if you want to do that, go ahead and do it. But don't be surprised when it happens back to you. And it will.
Get it? We've seen it all before. If I went through all of them, this video would be
Yep.
3 hours long. White Dudes for Harris wasn't the only strange attempt the Democrats threw out at the last second to get the male vote.
Hey, white dudes. So, I think we're all pretty sick of hearing how much we suck. Every time you go online, it's the same story. We're the problem. And yeah, some white dudes are. Trump and all his MAGA buddies are out there making it worse.
They thought this was going to work. Be one of the good ones. Man, I remember when Republicans tried to do that for black people for a long time. That worked really well, didn't it? Didn't that work really well? Oh, yeah.
Are you f***ing kidding me? Years of these
Yeah.
people saying men suck and are the problem, and now they're like, hey, fellow men, are you sick of being told you suck and are the problem? The audacity. Apparently, Kamala Harris has a secret weapon to win over male voters.
Kamala Harris is turning to her running mate, Tim Walz, hoping he is the secret weapon who can chip away at Donald Trump's support from men.
Much like how Trump chose Pence to win over the more establishment Republican voters, Kamala seems to have chosen Tim Walz to try and win over the white male vote. And boy, are they trying. Now, I don't hate Tim.
I think Tim Walz is definitely more likable than Kamala Harris, but that bar is on the floor and you need the shovel to go under it. I think that he's definitely more likable for sure, but it's just, yeah, he's their token white guy. Yeah, exactly.
Walz. In fact, I was pleasantly surprised when they chose him over Josh Shapiro. I like a lot of his policies, like his universal school lunch policy. That's an amazing policy. You'd have to be an insane freak to disagree with that.
It was very well received.
Or a libertarian. But I repeat myself. And there were a few times where he was speaking where I completely forgot he was running to be Kamala's VP and not president himself. And he actually brought a lot of energy to the Democratic stage for once.
He did.
So what the f was this? Putting out a bunch of ads of Tim Walz changing the air filter in a car, clumsily shooting a gun, and drawing a political football play-by-play. Trotting out Walz like some kind of minstrel show of a white man.
I didn't say it, she said it. Okay? Yep, I did. Hey. Yep. But everybody was thinking that.
Like a man dressing up like a man for Halloween. You don't gotta do all this, bro, I promise you. And they don't shy away about how that's exactly what they are trying to do. Tim Walz is clearly a Midwest man's man, but he's the antidote to toxic MAGA masculinity.
Oh, God.
Despite his typically masculine resume as a Midwestern football coach and veteran, Walz is utilizing those qualities to push forward a more progressive, compassion-based form of masculinity.
I feel like in a lot of cases, like this is like kind of true, but it just comes off as so performative and fake that I don't think that people buy into it. Like, for example, I think if Tim Walz was running by himself, like there's a reason, like he's the governor, right? Like, so he's won an election before. So it's not like this guy isn't popular. But if you contextualize it around like the, you know, like National Democratic Party, then you have a totally different situation.
Being a vice president is understanding that you are just that. Someone who is there to aid and support the president. Walz simply being there on the ticket with a woman and taking a back seat to his running mate, Vice President Kamala Harris, is him embracing his leadership role in a positive, masculine way. Football coach and cheer.
It's positively masculine whenever you take a back seat to a woman. Like, I don't really understand, like, how... Like, I mean, how do you expect to, like, tell that to somebody and then have them be like, yeah, this sounds great, you know, like, come sign me up. It's so condescending. It is. It's crazy.
Cheerleader. How Tim Walz is defining masculinity. Amy Deal, a sexism researcher and author of the 2023 book Glass Walls,
called a bullshit
told
job.
USA Today that men like Walls who are intentional about rejecting traits and beliefs commonly dubbed as toxic masculinity are the tonic to harmful stigma associated with expectations of men and boys.
The thing is that a lot of this is actually true, which is kind of funny. Like, for example, like, what is my best example of masculinity? Well, it would be Aragorn in Lord of the Rings. Yeah, so it's like, it's definitely not Andrew Tate or one of these other, like, alpha males, right? Absolutely not. So, like, a lot of this is true. It just comes off as performative and fake.
Boys. He shows you can be masculine, but also not threatened by women as equals or women who are in positions of power. In fact, you can be cheerleaders for them. Notice the common theme here. Taking a back seat. Cheerleading. Like 5 different articles I read specifically use this word cheerleading. Even a few about
it's taking a back seat, doing what you're told. Give me a sec. Hello? My dad, guys. It's also my dad. I was talking about movies, but yeah, I'm also referring to my dad as well. Was that good? As a masculine model. Okay, good. I'll talk to you later. Okay, thanks. All right, bye. Okay. Oh boy. Right.
Kamala Harris's husband, Doug. God knows we need an antidote for all the lousy men in the news, and I think I found one. A lovable goofball who is happy to...
I just, like, can you think about how bad it would sound if, like, God knows we need an antidote for all the lousy women in the news or all the lousy black people in the news, and I think I found one? Like, or all the lousy Latinos in the news or Jews in the news? Like, can you think about how bad that would sound? People would be losing their fucking mind. And so, like, and this is the issue that these people have, is that what they should do is they need to, before they write an article like this, they need to replace men with women or another minority group and then think, would this sentence offend me? And if the answer is yes, then don't put men in there either. And the problem, again, is that these people think that they have a moral mandate that, like, well, I should because it's true. It's true. So that's the way I see the world. That's the way it is. So if I say, like, I have, but that's true. It's just, again, if you like losing elections, this is what you should do.
A lovable goofball who is happy to cheerlead for his wife, the Vice President of the U.S. Thank God for Doug Emhoff. Successful guys can support their wives and be respected. You don't have to be the quarterback to play the game at an elite level. Emhoff and his breed of dudes who are giving it their best shot
the dudes part is
may
like,
never be as come hither to lost young men as the militant Andrew Tate models of manhood, but they are out there, and, not unlike good husbands, will appear when they are needed. From the
Not unlike good I don't even understand what that means.
Outside looking in.
What?
The right promises young men a return to the good times of the glorious past. You know, the one your grandfather had. The Coca-Cola ad rose-tinted version of the past. Back when you can afford a house and support a family on one income. While the left, which historically, in my opinion, had the policies to make that happen, are instead trying to sell men a vision of the future.
Yeah, sure.
And well, the future is female. A future where...
Yeah, if you have all the shirts that say the future is female and having male representation or, like, you know, you need female... It's just like... again... It's like the Emperor's New Clothes. Like, everybody can see this. It's so fucking obvious to any young guy that this is happening. And they're just trying to pretend like it's not real. It's unbelievable. I don't even know what to say.
You're no longer playing the game, men. You're on the sidelines being a cheerleader. Doesn't that just sound so exciting? Like, what the hell is going on inside these DNC consultant meetings? I really gotta know. Does anyone have any ideas on how to appeal to young men? And please, for the love of God, do not say we have to offer them anything or change in any way. I got it. What? Camo hats. We did that. Vasectomy bus. We did that. Have you perhaps tried nagging them? Yes, we've been doing that.
Yeah, that's why they're voting for Trump.
You know that whole male loneliness epidemic thing? Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Oh, yeah.
A really nice place. Have you been here before?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite spots. I bring everybody here.
I said I go on a lot of dates, but...
Wow. Wow, what a great advertisement. So what if you accidentally are dating a emotionally unstable crazy bitch? Don't you want to keep her around? No, not really.
Hey man, if you don't vote for Kamala Harris, women won't fuck you. Brilliant.
Which is like also what's really funny about this is that there's a lot of women that voted for Trump too. It's like this whole thing where it's like, oh, women don't vote. It's not even true. It's just stupid.
Young men should know that if you vote for Trump, you're basically never going to get laid.
Okay. Here's the problem. A lot of them already aren't getting laid. So you can't lose something you didn't have. Nothing changes.
I mean, is it incorrect?
Trump gives girls the ick. Vote Harris, get laid. I love how she blocks out the person who this is, but everybody knows who this is. Everybody knows it. I mean, is it incorrect? I didn't think so. Yeah.
Don't think so. Trump gives girls the ick. Vote Harris, get
I'm gonna be honest. I think that if I was around a girl that got like what was called the ick, I would be considering myself lucky because I just avoided a ticking time bomb. It is a emotionally unstable, completely illogical thing that happens that shouldn't be taken seriously. This whole idea that like women are like these emotional babies that need to be like coddled and protected, and you need to act in certain ways so they don't get upset or like get mad. Like you're basically treating them like children. And the fact is that like there are a lot of women that don't think like this. They don't act like this. You just talk to them like normal people and everything is going to be fine. Who says that? All of these commercials are all saying this. It's just crazy.
Laid. They are not beating the pretending to be progressive to get laid allegations with this one. Literally just
And by the way, I do think guys do that. I absolutely think that guys do that. They'll mask their political beliefs in order to get girls that are like very politically motivated or like have strong beliefs to like hook up with them. Yeah, 100% they do. Absolutely.
Woke fishing. When men pretend to be more progressive on dating apps to get laid. Do not do this, by the way. Be open and honest about your opinions. And no, you cannot fix them. Also, pretty weird and like low-key sexist to imply like women are some prize for voting the correct way. Hey, and if all else...
Yeah, that's all. It's always a good thing whenever women who are against objectification commodify their bodies as a reward for doing some sort of action, like it's a payment. But, you know, hey, well, totally normal.
Fails, go after the Gooner vote.
Oh! Sorry, you can't do that.
What the hell, man? How'd you get in here?
I'm your Republican congressman. Now that we're in charge, we're banning porn nationwide.
It is really funny because of how stupid it is. It is. That's perfect.
I'm sorry. I love this ad. The one time they speak to men directly, and it's, hey men, the Republicans are gonna take away one of the only vices you use to numb the pain. So
That's
vote
right.
for us. Bleak. Just the absolute state of the world right now. Also, was that Germa? Believe it or not, this wasn't the worst of it.
I'm a man. I'm a man.
This was crazy. Like, It's actually insane how ideologically captured they are by identity politics. It's unbelievable to me that they just keep... It's like the stop hitting yourself thing. You just can't stop talking about this, fixating on it, thinking about it. It's unbelievable. Like, I actually, as I said, I thought that the woke mind virus was like a stupid term. But after seeing how these people literally cannot think of anything other than demographics and identity, I'm starting to take it a lot more seriously. Because it literally feels like it's some sort of like a spell or something like that. Like some sort of like collective delusion.
I'm a man, and I'm man enough.
I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon.
Meat. Man enough to cook my steak rare.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild?
Why would you be? Why is eating your steak rare being a man?
Carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast.
I'll tell you another
I could believe that.
thing I sure as shit am not afraid of. Women.
When I first saw this, I thought it was a parody created.
Yeah, it's just like... I don't know what to say. Like, why rare? Yeah, why would a guy be afraid? It's just like... Oh my God.
By Republicans to make fun
Yeah.
of how hard the Democratic Party is trying to pander to men to get their vote. But alas,
I love women. I love women who support their families.
Women who decide not to have families.
Women who take charge.
And I'm man enough to help them win.
everything from them direct.
Oh my God. I can't even play out what an advertisement like this would be for minorities. Like, think about the parallels that you could do for a minority group. Oh my God. Oh my fuck. That would be so fucking bad.
Towards men has to have like this tone of irony or self-deprecation. They can't even do it sincerely. But apparently white men aren't the only demographic Kamala is struggling with.
This is the Democratic margin among black men under the age of 45 in presidential elections. You go back to November of 2012, what do you see? You see Obama by 81. Clinton only won him by 63. Then we're all the way down to Biden last time around by 53. A tremendous drop already.
Has it ever occurred to you that maybe the reason why more people voted for Obama is because he was a better candidate? Has it ever occurred that maybe the reason why there's a change in voting is actually because of the people that are running? Like, I don't know. I mean, no, that's not it. Right, okay. It's my identity.
And then you take a look at the average of the most recent polls, and Kamala Harris is up by only 41 points.
Democrats deployed their ultimate weapon, Barack Obama. At a campaign stump for Harris on Thursday in Pittsburgh, Obama said that despite Harris raising upward of $1 billion, we have yet to see the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running.
That's because you were a better candidate. Do you think Barack Obama would come up and say good morning 6 times in a row and how are we doing 4 times in a row? No. He didn't talk like a fucking idiot. It's so fucking obvious. How is anybody even thinking about this? Yeah, there's no twerking about it. Says, yeah, it's... Also, people knew Kamala a lot less. Sure. This Obama called black men misogynists? I don't know about that. I didn't watch it. I'm just saying in general, right? Like, whenever he was running for president, people liked him a lot because he represented a lot of the view. Like, he was, like, against the war in Iraq, and, like, he wanted to move the troops to come back. It didn't happen, but, like, that's what he ran on. And so, of course, people were supportive of that. Absolutely they were. That's why people are blaming the fact that Kamala is a woman. Well, I mean, even if you compare, like, her numbers to Hillary Clinton, who also was a woman, like, it's just, at a certain point, maybe instead of blaming, like, it's like they're basically blaming every single thing that they can't control, except for the one thing that they can, which is their message. It can't be our message. There has to be some sort of, like, existential reason that we can't control, that we can complain about, so we can displace accountability over to that.
Energy, he added, appears, quote, to be more pronounced with the brothers. You're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I've got a problem with that, he said, because part of it makes me think, and I'm speaking to men directly, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman for president, and you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's probably the case. There's a lot of guys that don't want to vote for a woman for president because they're like, oh, what if she gets on her period and then she decides to nuclear bomb Canada? Absolutely. Like, I can fucking promise you that there are tons of guys out there that are like, you think I want to vote for a woman? My girlfriend is crazy. I've been married to a woman 15 years. Oh my God. Nope. That's crazy. No, but that's it. And like, what they don't understand is that, of course this is going to happen. Absolutely it's going to happen. It's the same as women that vote for her because she's a woman. Absolutely. Like, I can guarantee you that there were probably millions of women who, if all other variables were the same and Kamala Harris wasn't a woman, they probably wouldn't have gone out to vote. Absolutely, women are going to exhibit, it's called own group bias. And as far as I know, my understanding is that women have a very high ratio of doing it, much.
Position was like, it's like, man, if I don't do this, I think we're screwed, is the issue.
Well, if you didn't do it, no one else was going to do it because it wasn't a financial winner. It was kind of a crazy move.
It's a crazy move. I mean, the thing was way overpriced. You know, like long term, I think we can ultimately make it a win for investors. But boy, this is a hard way to make a living.
Well, there's also a concerted effort to suppress it. There's a concerted effort with the advertisers.
Well, we had and still have a massive advertiser boycott that was organized by a bunch of left-wing NGOs. Like you know, and you always want. And I should have brought my. I have a hat, Make Orwell Fiction Again.
I've seen that hat.
Yeah, I should have brought. I was gonna wear my. I should have brought my Make Orwell Fiction hat again. But yeah, I mean, it's just totally nuts. So.
If you didn't do it, no one would have. And here's the hilarious narrative that I keep hearing from idiots. Elon's a bad businessman. Twitter is worth, 400% less than when he bought it. No, it wasn't worth that in the first place.
It wasn't worth that in the first place.
It wasn't worth $44 billion, you fucking morons.
Yes.
Like, wrong. And also, you're not taking into account the advertiser boycott.
Exactly.
That's total bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. So there are these organizations, like you can tell there's like, they're like when they have an Orwellian name. So like the Center for Countering Digital Hate is a total scam organization, because they're like the Ministry of Truth type of thing in Orwell. They're a censorship organization.
Yeah.
And they organize and they pushed the advertisers to boycott. So we still have some of the boycott is starting to lift, and I think if Trump wins, we'll see probably. Most of the boycott lift, but if Kamala wins, we'll see that boycott get stronger, and they'll friggin' shut down. There's no way that the sort of Kamala puppet regime would allow X to exist.
You really think that they'll be able to shut it down, though? Is there a pathway to that?
Yes.
What would they do?
Well, I mean, they can stick the DOJ on and say they've had this whole thing about hate speech, misinformation, whatever, except that they're the ones pushing the misinformation. But that doesn't stop them from filing massive, lawsuits and using the DOJ. I mean, the DOJ has, been attacking SpaceX, for example, for not hiring asylum seekers, even though it is legal for SpaceX to hire anyone who's not a permanent resident of the U.S. So we're damned if we do and damned if we don't. There's just an example of what DOJ can do.
So it's illegal to hire someone who's not an American citizen?
What SpaceX is considered an advanced weapons technology. So it's covered by international traffic and arms regulations because we make rocket technology that can be used against the United States. So like if North Korea or Iran got SpaceX rocket technology, they could use that to launch nukes at America.
Right.
That would be bad.
Yeah, that'd be really bad.
That'd be really bad. So we're since we are in like the most extreme category of weapons technology at SpaceX, under U.S. ITAR law, it is illegal for us to hire anyone who's not a permanent resident, because the presumption is that if they're not a permanent resident, they're going to return to their home country and take the rocket technology with them. So so it's illegal for us to hire anyone who's either has not a permanent. They can have a green card or be a citizen. They just have to be a permanent resident of the United States. Then there's another law that says if you discriminate against asylum seekers, that's also you're also breaking the law. So the DOJ can only do a small number of big lawsuits every year. Launched a giant lawsuit against SpaceX, saying that SpaceX discriminated against asylum seekers, and we're like, but it's illegal for us to hire anyone who's not a permanent resident. So we're in this this is what I mean. It's like the Orwell situation is getting insane. Like, you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. So you're damned.
Can you imagine history looking back
Fucked up, man.
at when you watch the robot arms catch the rocket and you realize like this is like one of the greatest accomplishments in the history of aerospace. Like, it is one of the most wildest accomplishments.
Yeah.
When you watch that thing come and you see all those people cheering and it catches it perfectly, like, holy shit. Imagine how history is going to look back at the DOJ going after that company.
Yeah.
How
And
insane
it
it
was
is.
a big lawsuit with an army of lawyers. Like, this was not like some minor thing.
But it doesn't even make any sense
Doesn't make any
logically.
sense.
Like, how could it even get brought to court if it's illegal?
That's exactly. So that's what I mean. Like, basically, if the government wants to go after you, they'll just find a reason. You know, it's like that famous quote from Beria. You know, like Stalin's like chief torturer, the head of Stalin's secret police, and he's like chief torturer, truly evil human being, like this guy Beria. His one of his famous quotes was, "Show me the man, and I'll show you the crime."
Right.
They decide that you're the target, and then they figure out the crime afterwards. That's the issue. They decided SpaceX was the target. They just figured out the crime afterwards.
Which is so crazy because that's exactly what they're saying Trump is going to do if he gets into office.
They're doing all the things that they accuse Trump of doing.
Yeah. Openly. Yeah.
I mean, the sheer number of hoaxes that the Democratic Party is pushing over and over again. And it's like, look, I understand like politicians are gonna, exaggerate. They're gonna misspeak, and they'll tell occasional, untruths, whatever. That's how it is in politics. But when you have deliberate, concerted, repeated pushing of hoaxes, you're like, wait a second, like, come on, man, this is too far.
And you're supposed to be the good guys.
You're supposed to, and you claim to be the good guys? I'm like, exactly.
You're supposed to be the progressives.
Yes, the Dems are like, oh, we're the good guys. We're the honest people. No, hang on. You can't claim to be the good guys. You can't claim to be the honest people if you're deliberately pushing hoaxes that have been debunked thoroughly.
Yeah. Well,
we're like even Snopes, which is a liberal thing, says it's bogus.
Yeah.
Like the Fine People hoax.
Obama just said that on stage.
Obama just said that. I was like, what the flying fuck?
He doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't give a fuck. They're just
That's a flat
going
out
for
goddamn
it.
fucking lie.
Flat out lie.
Flat out fucking
How
lie.
about the other one where Kamala's campaign used what Trump was saying about protecting women and from illegal immigrants?
Thank you.
You remember that? What he was saying is, if the women like it or not, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
When he was saying that, they were trying to say that he was taking away women's right to choose whether women like it or not. Like, that's not what he was saying.
Absolutely.
He was literally talking about protecting them from dangerous people that are sneaking in through the border.
Yes, exactly. They'll take like not even a full sentence, like a half a sentence from Trump, and then they'll push it on every ad, every speaking event, every
and it gets
media.
repeated on the news.
Yes.
This is what's crazy. They'll talk about it on these news shows. Quote, news shows.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a recent one that came up, which had a lot of people, because a lot of people reached out to me, was like, they're like, oh, Trump says he wants to execute Liz Cheney. I'm like, that is utter bullshit.
It's not what he said at all.
It's not what he said at all. All he said was like, what he's saying is that, look, if Liz Cheney actually had to fight at the front lines should think twice about going to war.
Exactly.
That, like, it's easy to go to war. It's easy to be a warmonger if you don't have to, risk dying at the front lines. Like, basically it's fucked up if people are having like fancy dinners in Washington D.C. While people are being slaughtered in trenches. It's like you're not feeling the pain.
Exactly.
You're not taking the risk. It's someone else dying.
Exactly.
That's cruel and lacking in empathy. And all Trump was saying was that it's like Liz Cheney would be much less of a warmonger, because she's a huge warmonger, just like her dad, if she actually had to go to the front lines and fight herself.
And meanwhile, they're saying that he's saying she should be shot.
Yes, which is a total lie. But I had like tons of people call me this weekend saying, "Oh, Trump says he's gonna put Liz Cheney in a firing squad." I'm like, that is an outrageous lie. And legacy media ran with that lie, big time.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just wild to see. And if it wasn't for Twitter or X now, I don't think we would know about all this stuff. I think it would be very difficult for you. I think YouTube throttled. They did something weird. They won't say what they did, but they did something weird with the Trump interview that I did.
Yeah.
Where you couldn't find it.
It doesn't make sense.
It made no sense.
I mean, it was like the biggest interview on earth.
Yeah.
And you can't find it.
Yeah. Not only that, it wasn't trending.
Bullshit.
It wasn't trending.
It wasn't trending.
No, it wasn't trending.
You're like, there's just no excuse for that, man.
No excuse.
There's no excuse.
It was getting 1 million views. 1.4 an hour at one point in time? 1.5 an hour.
Yeah.
And it wasn't trending.
Yeah. And it's like your channel is a known channel. It's not like it was started yesterday. It's like
yeah.
It's like this is a high trust. Yours is a high trust channel. It's like you're not trying to sell scam crypto coins or something, So.
Well, thank God we put it on X as well.
Yeah.
Because I think just with your account and my account alone, it's like 70 million views.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's like you can't hide things anymore because of you. And if it wasn't for you, I think they would have had total control of social media by now.
Yeah.
They would have they banned so many accounts during the pandemic, so many dissenting scientists and doctors and physicians. They banned so many conspiracy theorists, so many people that colored outside the lines. They would have done that everywhere, and it probably would have. I think even at what's going on at Facebook, they're being more lenient. You hear Zuckerberg talking about taking a more libertarian stance. That's entirely reaction to the way Twitter has kind of moved the watermark.
Exactly. So, as soon as any company steps out of line and is willing to actually have the truth debated on their platform, it forces the other platforms to allow things to be more truthful, to not censor, because their censorship becomes glaringly obvious.
Yes. Yes.
And the best thing I found as a rebuttal, like if there's a hoax, is just go to the source material.
Right.
If somebody thinks Trump said that we should put Liz Cheney in a firing squad, I'm like, let me send you a link to X so you can watch his video. That's the best way.
Yes.
Don't take my opinion for it. Don't take anyone's opinion for it. Go to the source material.
And community notes.
Yes, and community notes.
Community notes
awesome.
is the best.
It's awesome.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Because everybody gets checked.
Yes, including me.
Yeah.
And with community notes, all the software is open source, and all the data is open source. So you can recreate any given note independently.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
It's total, absolute transparency in every way. Sometimes I get asked like, "Oh, Elon, can you remove a note?" Mostly by the left, but sometimes by the right. I'm like, I don't even remove notes on my own account. Nothing. And by the way, everything is totally open. So if I did that, it would stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
Immediately. Like, it's not going to be subtle.
That is the best counter to misinformation.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Like, let everybody look at it and say, okay, here's what the actual facts say.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. The counter to misinformation is better information.
Not just that, but having it checked in real time by the community. So you have millions of people that can go over it and debate whether or not this is true or that's true.
Yes, and like I said, like the best way to understand the truth of things is don't take anyone's opinion for it. Look at the source material. It's like, look at what someone actually said. Look at what someone actually did. Look at the real videos of the situation, and then you'll know what's real.
So, as of today, when you were literally on your way here, you sent me this text saying that they're trying to lock you up in jail in Pennsylvania. Tell me what the fuck is happening.
Well, there's the classic sort of Soros DA situation. So we're making a lot of progress in Pennsylvania. So I've given a whole bunch of talks throughout the state because Pennsylvania's the linchpin in this election. Whoever wins Pennsylvania wins the election. So I've been giving talks. I spent 3 years in Pennsylvania. I went to college in Philadelphia. So it's not like I'm not a total stranger to the state. I spent 3 years there. And we've organized this petition in support of the Constitution, which I think is a good thing, and specifically asking people to, and we wanted this to be like registered voters in swing states. Like basically, we want to send a message to the politicians to say that the people care about the Constitution because there've been all these attacks on the Constitution. They've been, especially on the Democrat side, they've been repeatedly saying that the First Amendment is an obstacle, and they're claiming, the First Amendment is enabling disinformation, misinformation. And I'm like, there's a reason for the First Amendment, like freedom of speech. The reason the founders of the country put the freedom of speech there is because they came from countries where if you spoke your mind, you would get shot or imprisoned. That's why the First Amendment exists. And the Second Amendment is there to stop the tyranny of government. The Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, is there to protect freedom of speech. And I've had these debates, especially with people in LA, because they're like, want to take everyone's guns away. And I'm like, can you guarantee me that that we will never have a tyrannical government in the United States? Can you make that guarantee? But like, well, nobody can make that guarantee. I'm like, then we need to keep our guns, because that's what's going to stop it.
That sounds crazy for people to hear because they think about gun violence and gun problems and gun this and gun that, but that's the reality of the world that we live in, is that tyranny is possible and it exists other places, and it's slowly existing. It's slowly rearing its head in the UK. You're seeing, I think the number of people that have been arrested for just social media posts is bananas. It's in the thousands.
Yes, several thousand people have been given prison sentences in the UK for social media posts where there was no explicit link to actual violence, but they just said it encouraged violence. I'm like, well, did anyone actually do anything as a result of that media post? Well, no, but they just and then they have a prison overcrowding situation in the UK, so they're quite literally releasing convicted pedophiles and putting people in jail for Facebook posts. That's an actual thing happening in Britain.
That is so wild.
Like you're like,
it's so wild that people can't see
what the fuck, is going on?
And what's insane to me
Make
is
oil fiction again.
Yeah,
But
it's all being encouraged by the left. Ketanji Brown Jackson, John Kerry, Hillary Clinton.
John Kerry was one of the people who said that he's on camera like a few weeks ago, saying that the First Amendment is an obstacle to fighting misinformation.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's such a crazy thing to say when you have a solution in community notes.
Yes,
you have a solution in something like that could clear everything up, any confusion within a day or two.
And even without a community note, you can reply to a post and with evidence that shows that the post is wrong. You don't even need community notes. I mean, community notes is helpful because it sticks to the original note.
Yes.
But in the replies, you can say, here's why you're wrong, here are the reasons, and here's the evidence.
But the argument is that people are too unsophisticated, that they're not going to research these things. They're going to be a victim of misinformation. So they're going to read something that's incorrect. They're going to run with it. People are going to die. We're going to ruin the world because people believed in misinformation. It's a stupid argument.
It's a stupid argument.
Because it's an argument that they're too dumb to know what's right or wrong. Well, if you know, because you're saying it's misinformation, why do you think that you're smarter than everybody who reads that?
Exactly. And obviously anyone on the X system knows that things are posted and then there are replies and there are rebuttals and it's immediately corrected. But where are the corrections for the legacy media?
Right.
If some broadcast media, they say false things all the time, but it's a one-way street. There's no rebuttal. There's no counter.
Right. Right. Who's apologized for being incorrect about what? Did Rachel Maddow ever apologize for telling everybody that if you get the COVID vaccine, you're never going to get COVID? It won't. The virus
Right.
stops with you.
No, never.
Never.
Yeah.
No one ever. It's just. It was not true at the time. There was no evidence to support it at the time. It's pure propaganda. And she said it. The RussiaGate hoax. For
Exactly.
3 fucking years, they
Yes.
said that he was Putin's toy.
Yes.
And that Putin had him compromised. The
Yes.
Steele dossier.
Steele dossier was completely fabricated
Yeah.
by a lawyer at Perkins Coie, who was paid by the Clinton campaign. Literally.
Crazy.
And still people think the Russia hoax is real.
And there's no repercussions.
Yes.
No one had to apologize. Hillary Clinton never came out and apologized for that, and people
Yeah.
still listen to her. The whole thing is
Yeah.
crazy. And it's all coming from the left, which, growing up as a person who was in the left my whole life, it doesn't
Yeah,
make any
same.
fucking sense.
Same. I mean, I was on the left until like 3 years ago. Like, I mean, you know,
It's not the left anymore.
It's not the left anymore. It's just like I think we obviously want. I mean, I believe like we want freedom. Like we want to maximize personal liberty. I think we want to be kind to people. You know, we want to have empathy, but it's very important to have personal freedom and a merit-based society. And the left wants to oppress your freedoms, especially freedom of speech, and they want to have a non-merit-based society, you know, with race-based and sex-based preferences. And it's like, well, wait a second. No, we just want people to succeed based on their skills and their hard work.
And if they don't want people to express themselves about particular issues, then they're not doing the will of the people. And if they're trying to suppress
Yes.
people's ability to communicate, they're only doing that because they want to do things that people don't want them to do.
Yes.
And they want to silence opposition. That's all it is. And the fact
100%.
that people can't see that and they want to call Trump a fascist, the whole thing is
it's just
through the looking glass. It's just
I mean, it's like one hoax after another that they're perpetrating against Trump. I mean, like they try to call the rally at Madison Square Gardens like a Nazi rally. I'm like, yo, there was like literally an Israeli flag in the audience. I think like a quarter of the speakers were Jewish. Like there were people of every race, color, creed, religion at that rally. Like, tell me what about that is Nazi?
No,
and yet it was portrayed as a Nazi rally. And
well,
it's still-
MSNBC, they literally showed video of the Nazi rally from the
Yeah.
1930s and then compared it to the Trump rally. Now, ignoring the fact that fucking Jimmy Carter spoke there.
There have been dozens of political rallies at Madison Square Gardens, dozens on the Democrat side. Like people on X were like, and here's Jimmy Carter, and here's
At a Nazi
Bill
rally,
Clinton, and here's wait a second. Actually, it looks like every presidential candidate has done on the Democrat side has done a rally at Madison Square Gardens. Are they Nazis too?
But what they're doing is they're preying on low information voters who aren't engaged actively on social media, who don't have the time
Yes,
to
that's
look through everything. And,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like people are living. If people are just on looking at legacy mainstream media, then they have a totally different worldview than if they're on X and seeing the actual flow of argument.
Yes.
And the actual evidence.
Well, what was the pushback? Like, what happened when you guys released the Twitter files? Because I think the Twitter files is probably one of the most important things in this age of information for understanding the influence that government has on social media and on discourse. Because when we found out that was the case, that the government was actually asking Twitter to remove posts that were factual,
Yeah, all the time.
They did the same thing to Facebook. They had them throttle pieces of one of Tucker Carlson's show. They suppressed the views by 50%.
Yeah.
Of factual information.
Yeah, no, there was massive government interference in Twitter, but like Twitter welcomed it. That's important to all Twitter welcomed it. All Twitter was controlled by far left activists.
Yeah.
So they welcomed the government interference. They got paid by the government for it.
That's crazy. They
yes.
got paid for their time, correct?
Yeah, they got
Is that
paid
how it
millions
works?
of dollars for suppressing information.
So it's like build
and a
time.
bunch of it was like flat out illegal. Like the FBI had this sort of magic portal into the Twitter system, but all of the communication in this portal was auto deleted after 2 weeks, which breaks federal FOIA laws. So we don't even know what was said because it was all deleted after 2 weeks.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. It's so crazy that people thought that was okay.
It's super not okay.
No, it's super not okay. It's unconstitutional, and no one would want that. No one would want the government to have that kind of access.
Exactly.
And what was the blowback like when all that stuff got released? Like, you had to anticipate that there was going to be problems when you released that. Like, what happened?
Well, we did lose a lot of advertising dollars.
Which is crazy because it's essentially like one of the most important forms of journalism is exposing government corruption.
Yes, I mean this is the weird thing. It's like the left used to be big on exposing government corruption, but once they control the government, they no longer want to expose the government corruption.
Right. They want to pretend that the left-wing government's incapable of corruption because we're on the good side.
I think it may be just like whoever's in power kind of doesn't want the other side hurt, because as you pointed out, like the left historically, up until I don't know, maybe even 10 years ago or something like that, was the free speech party, and now it's the anti-free speech party, and they use words like oh well, we have to be against hate speech and misinformation, disinformation, but these are propaganda words. It's like. Well, who's defining hate speech? Who's defining misinformation? The government. Do you really trust the government to make that definition? The whole point of the First Amendment is like, do not trust the government.
Well, especially when they're wrong, and
yes,
there's no repercussions.
Yes.
Yeah, like with the whole lab leak theory, you would get kicked off of YouTube if you even presented this argument that, hey, maybe that coronavirus lab where they're doing work on the exact same virus that got released.
Yep.
Hey, maybe that's where it came from, since that's where the virus started. What do you think, guys?
Yeah.
They kick you right off of YouTube.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. It's like, do you think maybe it could have come from a place called the Novel Coronavirus Research Institute?
Yeah, like
of
that
Wuhan?
Jon Stewart bit that he did on Colbert. That was amazing.
It's like, what does it say on the door again? Can I see your business card?
And to see Colbert like resisting it with every fiber of his
they're
being.
like, what's gonna happen to us?
He was totally cock blocking the bit to the point where Jon Stewart got off his chair and started walking around to try to take control. Man. Yeah, good on Jon.
And then the left tried to cancel Jon Stewart.
Of course.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he was right.
He's right.
And no apologies. No apologies. Yeah, and the whole Fauci thing, like any criticism of Fauci, it's like anti-science.
Fauci's a freaking demon, if you ask me.
If you read RFK's book, if the real Anthony Fauci, if that's correct, if the facts are in there, that's true, it's all referenced. You could find the sources, and on top of it, he's never been sued for that book, which doesn't make any sense. If he just made a bunch of lies up, he would get sued.
Yes.
So the guy's a monster.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think just looking at the lies that he told, the way he tried to define gain-of-function research to Rand Paul.
But I think maybe a lot of people out there don't realize Fauci funded the bioweapons research that was going on in Wuhan, and he bank shot it off. Like he can't send the money directly to China, so he just bank shot it off EcoHealth.
Right.
This like fake nonprofit in the U.S. and they sent it to Wuhan.
And Obama put the skids on that. He stopped that in 2014.
Yes, I mean, so to give Obama some credit, he actually was like looking at this and say, hey, this is crazy, and he actually did stop the so-called gain of function, again, a propaganda word, because what is the function they're talking about? Death.
Right.
So if you actually use the right word, this is gain of function is death maximization.
Right.
Then you're like, hey guys, should we fund bioweapon research into death maximization? Because that's what gain of function means.
Yeah, it means
that's the function.
Making
death.
a disease so that people can get it. Give it to people.
Yeah,
by the way,
what's that function again? Oh, the function is death? Oh, okay, so just call it a death-maximizing virus.
If you're doing
insane.
research on that, and the idea behind this research is so that we can cure these things, how come you don't have a fucking cure?
Start with a cure. Cure first, disease second.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, you guys had no strategy for dealing with it if it got out? And so you have to make up this new vaccine in record time, Operation Warp Speed, release it to the people with very little testing. It's fucking crazy.
It was crazy.
The whole thing's crazy, and everybody just went along with it.
Looney Tunes next level.
Well, the PSYOP was fascinating to watch people step in line.
That's like one of the biggest PSYOPs of all time.
Of all time. And everybody got in line. And when you take it back to when pharmaceutical drug companies were able to advertise on media in the 1990s, that changed everything. We're one of 2 countries in the whole world that allows this.
Yeah.
And because of that, because we don't have socialized medicine, it's a complete profit scam. And they went hard, claiming all sorts of things that were never researched, all sorts of things that are not supported by data, like the fact that it would stop transmission, the fact that it would stop infection, the fact that it was safe for pregnant women, the fact that it was safe for children. All of it's bullshit.
Yes.
And they pushed it on the whole world. And if you didn't say that at a cocktail party, you were a pariah.
Yes.
And you were an anti-vaxxer.
It was totally psycho.
It was like being a Holocaust denier. You got kicked out of polite society.
Exactly.
Fucking bananas.
And I should say, like, I'm actually generally pro-vaccine overall. You know, I think we should look at these things. But I believe in the scientific method.
Yes.
So you never blanket accept anything. You never blanket accept that any given medication or any given treatment is 100% good. You should always view it with some skepticism.
Especially when you're getting the data from pharmaceutical drug companies that have like a long history of criminal
got a vested interest.
Conduct.
Yes,
Yeah.
they've got a vested interest in the research. It's sort of like asking tobacco companies about, whether smoking is dangerous.
It's exactly the same thing.
Like, oh, according to our scientists, everything's fine.
Yeah, they lied in court forever. The same thing they did with OxyContin when they said that it wasn't addictive. Like, they have a long history of being full of shit if it makes them money. And that's what they do. That's their business.
They've literally lost multi-billion-dollar lawsuits up in this.
Massive. They're in the. You have amazing scientists, right? You have these clinical researchers, these people that develop these incredible drugs, and this is their job. Their job is to figure out some new way to cure something, some new way to stop things, and then you have the money people.
Sure.
And the problem is when you have this one thing that you would assume they're only doing it to help people, and then you have this other faction that they're all just numbers people, and all they give a fuck about is maximizing profits and making sure they literally have an obligation to their shareholders. They have to make the most amount of money possible, and so they just want to push it on everybody, like the Vioxx scandal. There's internal emails showing they knew there was going to be cardiovascular events. People were going to get strokes. And they're like, I think we're still going to do well. And they did. They made like $12 billion. They got fined $7 billion, and 50 to 60,000 people died.
Holy shit.
Yeah. One of them was a friend of mine, got a stroke.
And died?
No, he didn't die. He lived, but he was a really healthy guy.
But
he was an
was
athlete.
like not the same afterwards.
Yeah, he had knee problems, and he took Vioxx, and all of a sudden he was slurring his words, and he couldn't concentrate, and people were like, I think you're having a fucking stroke, and they took him to the hospital, and then you have this giant class action lawsuit, and then Vioxx gets pulled from the market, and they get sued, and the whole thing's fucking crazy, but there's a long history of this. I think, what is the number? Like 1/3 of the drugs that the FDA approves gets pulled? It's fucking bananas.
That is crazy.
That's crazy. You're shitty at 1/3 of the things that you say are okay, but yet you're trying to stop MDMA therapy for veterans?
Yeah, they should let MDMA through, honestly. I think that would actually help a lot of people.
It would help a lot of people.
It would help a lot of people.
There's a lot of different therapies, specifically psilocybin, ibogaine. The fact that you have to go to Mexico to get ibogaine therapy for veterans. So many guys I've talked to have gone over there, and it's like completely giving them a clean slate, refresh their mind, and totally new perspective on life, alleviated depression, cured addictions. Illegal.
Yeah.
Illegal. OxyContin, go get it.
Yeah. And I know some people who, like, their life was ruined by OxyContin.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, it really depends on somebody's individual biochemistry. Like, to me, opioids are not addictive to me. Like, I've had them when I've had operations or something, and they barely affect my pain level, and they make me like itchy and uncomfortable.
They make me stupid.
Exactly. But I'm like, so like I could never get addicted to alcohol or opioids. It's just impossible. Like, because my biochemistry just does not have But I love tasty food. I feel like, if there's, I'm addicted to tasty food, sure. But like there's like can be like I have a whole wall of alcohol. It's there for decoration.
Yeah.
I never touch it. Basically,
I feel the same way. I could easily quit alcohol.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go weeks without having a drink.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me at all. But I know some people, they have one drink and they're off to the races, and that's the difference in the biochemical differences that we all have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the case with a lot of addictions. I'm not addicted to gambling, but I get it. I see it. I've seen it in people. But I have this aversion to things that I know are going to ruin my life. I see it. That's why I've never tried cocaine. I just saw
Yeah.
too many people. That
Yeah.
it looks too fun. I'm like, I don't want to get involved.
Yeah, I mean, I think generally for any given drug, legal or illegal, you could. The question is, can you complete the following sentence? Blank made me a better person.
Meth.
Like, I've never heard anyone say meth made them a better person or cocaine made them a better person.
No.
Ever.
Made a lot of soldiers better, I think. That's
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing,
Yeah.
if you're like, if your soldiers need to march for 3 days in a row,
Yeah. It does. It's really
meth
good
is
for that.
effective at that, you know. Yeah, like people give like France a hard time about capitulating in World War II, but you know what's worse than Nazis? Nazis on meth.
Methed up Nazis.
They're not stopping.
Norman
okay?
Ohler
They'll
wrote
have like
this
6
book.
bullets. They're still coming.
That book over there, Blitzed, is
Yeah.
all about the use of methamphetamines
Yeah.
and the different drugs that they gave their soldiers. The guys at the front of the line, they gave the most meth.
Yes.
They have different dosages.
Yeah. I mean, you just basically think you're invulnerable on meth, and so it's one thing. Like I said, so one thing be have like the be Nazis come after you, but Nazis on meth, you're like, holy shit, those fuckers are not stopping, man.
For 3 days.
They're not stopping.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a statement, meth made me a better person, that you hear very often.
I've never heard that before.
No, you hear a lot of like psilocybin advocates. You hear a lot of people that talk
Yes.
about psychedelics.
Exactly. I've actually heard many people say that LSD or mushrooms or MDMA made them a better person.
Yeah.
Many people.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, I think a rule for the FDA should be like, hey, look, if you can complete the sentence, legal or illegal, that blank made you a better person, actually,
Yeah.
then you got a good drug. And if you can't, you got a bad drug.
Also, if there's drugs that are available right now that can absolutely ruin people's lives, the rationalization for stopping other drugs that might ruin people's lives but also can help a lot of people's lives, it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It's basically the same thing as censorship. You're taking away people's ability to discern what's true and not true,
Yes.
and you're taking away people's ability to discern what's good for you and not good for you. And the way to find that out is to have as much information as possible.
Exactly.
So to do research and
Yes.
actually to have unbiased, actual objective observers who are looking at all this stuff that give you real data.
Yes.
And the opposite of that, or the counter to that, is like, if you don't do that, you're empowering cartels.
Yes.
That's the whole reason why they have all that money. It's because it's illegal to sell these drugs in America. The demand is never going away. So instead of like limiting the amount of drugs, now you've got toxic drugs because fentanyl and all this other
Yeah.
shit has been, because they're not pure. So you're just killing people. You're not saving anybody by protecting them from themselves.
True.
But it's a tricky situation because what do you do? Like, if you just like say, okay, now everyone can sell, all these people that have been selling boner pills, now you can sell meth. Like, holy shit! You know?
you get the double combo with the Viagra. It's
Right.
a Viagra and a meth.
Right. Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Well, I mean, how many people are already doing that right now with
No, a
Adderall
bunch of people
and
are doing
Viagra?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that
Yeah,
are
yeah.
essentially on meth.
Yeah.
Especially people that abuse Adderall.
Yeah.
They're basically amphetamine up all day long.
Yeah, Adderall is low-grade amphetamine.
Yeah.
I have actually seen people like become much worse people if they take too much Adderall, like much worse. You know, it's like an anger amplifier. So they're,
Yes.
Now I'm not saying like Adderall is something like where there are pluses and minuses. It's not a clear-cut issue.
Right.
It does help some people a great deal. But in higher doses, man, that stuff I've seen people turn into just raging monsters on high doses of Adderall. Just they're just angry, like extremely angry, all the time.
Yeah. They're methed up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what happens if you take meth.
It's crazy.
You,
Well-
you turn it like meth turns you into a friggin' rage demon.
And so, and
I'm
so
like-
many prescriptions.
And I'm like, Jesus.
We Googled it. Like
You know?
1 year, there was like 39 million prescriptions for Adderall in this country.
Oh yeah. And like once in a while, there's like an Adderall shortage, and like there's like widespread panic. You know.
And then what do people do? And then it's the same thing as like when they tried to like limit the amount of OxyContin. Well, people go to street heroin. And if you're addicted to Adderall and your dealer, your guy who sells you weed, is like, hey man, I can get you like low grade meth, like the stuff the Nazis took.
Well, they had high grade meth. Actually, they had pharmaceutical grade. They had epic meth. It was like made by pharmaceutical grade meth is going to be just look at the freaking online Wikipedia page, but there's like many different versions of meth. Like not all the same, and they have different effects. But like pharmaceutical grade pure meth, you are going to be, oh my God,
super productive,
super productive for a certain period of time, and you're not going to sleep for a while, and then you'll have some anger management issues. So they actually the Nazis, they did actually roll back how much meth they were using, because they had quite a few incidents of the soldiers killing their officers because they were on too much meth.
Jesus Christ!
They would. Yeah, so they would shoot. That too many officer got fragged by the their platoon that was on too much meth, because that happened quite a few times. Like you just when someone's on a lot of meth, they can get very angry.
Did you ever pay attention to when John McAfee was cooking meth in a lab in his backyard?
I mean, McAfee's quite a character.
He was a character.
Man.
We had him on the podcast when he was on the run. So he called in from an undisclosed location when he was running from, where was he? Costa Rica? Is that where he was?
Belize.
Belize,
yeah.
Right. So when he was running from the authorities, he called in, and we had him on the podcast on the run. And I was asking him about these posts, because there was an online account that was linked to him where he had this very detailed laboratory, like super sophisticated, making the best meth. Like a super genius cooking meth.
I mean, I think he had his lab, like he was making like a wide range of drugs. And there was I talked to actually like a reporter who went down and interviewed him in Belize. And the reporter said, "Man, that's one of the scariest things." He was quite terrified. So one of the things that McAfee, he had, I guess, this trick where he would play Russian roulette with himself. So he'd put a bullet in the revolver, and then spin the chamber. And clearly he had some trick to know that it was not. There's some way that he knows it's not the right bullet. But I do wonder, if McAfee's high and he does that, he's not always going to get the trick right.
You sure he had a trick, or maybe
So according to this reporter. When he went to visit McAfee in Belize, McAfee took out the revolver, put a bullet in the revolver, spun the chamber, and then pointed at his head and went click. And the reporter's saying, "Please don't do this. This is insane." Click, 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 and then pointed the gun at the ground, and next went click, bang, and shot a bullet in the ground.
Jesus.
That's a hell of a party trick.
Jeez.
This is the next level of party
That's
trick.
the guy who's seen The Deer Hunter too many times.
Yes.
Remember that scene? When they were forcing...
Yes.
Yeah. Woo,
Whoa,
that's a heavy scene.
That's a heavy scene.
De Niro and Christopher Walken. That's one of the greatest scenes in any movie ever. I remember watching that scene just clawing at my pants. McAfee was a wild boy.
Wild.
And created brilliant antivirus software.
Yeah. Yeah. He may have made some of the viruses too.
You think so? Well, didn't he give laptops to a bunch of government organizations
with viruses on them?
So that he could pay attention to what they were doing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody whacked that guy. I don't know what happened to him, but he would be a guy that would be like, this guy is a little bit too loose.
And probably had sensitive information. I don't know.
For sure, he did.
I mean, I found him to be an interesting guy. I mean, I'm generally feel like if somebody's not harming someone else, they should be okay. Now, there is some suggestion that McAfee killed his neighbor in Belize.
Yeah.
So
probably did. Maybe the neighbor was a douchebag.
I think he probably did.
Seems like he probably did. Seems like the neighbor killed his dog.
Yes.
Right, and then it seems like he killed the neighbor.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I mean.
It seems likely.
It's not a zero possibility.
It's definitely not zero.
It
seems more likely than not.
He's a messed up wild man playing Russian roulette. Hey, maybe you kill your fucking neighbor.
Yes.
I mean, if somebody killed your dog, you'd be really inclined to kill them too.
Yeah.
Somebody killed your squirrel.
Yeah, John Wick.
Yeah. The fucking squirrel thing is bananas.
Yeah,
That squirrel thing in
the
New
squirrel
York?
thing. So here's the thing about the whole squirrel thing is that how can it be that we live in America, supposedly land of the free, and the government can barge into your home with guns, so if you resist, you're going to get shot, and then take your pets and execute them. And if they can do that to your pets, what do you think they can do to you?
I know that's not an exaggeration.
Absolutely.
It sounds
So-
like you're oh, that's so crazy. How can you make that connection? But
No,
why would you kill that cute little squirrel that was obviously a pet and trained from the time it was a baby?
Yes.
If you see the interaction that guy has with that squirrel, it was wonderful. It was really cute.
Yes, absolutely. It was just obviously it was a beloved pet squirrel, and a raccoon too, and doing no harm, and the government comes in, barges into the guy's house, takes his pets and kills them, and I think this should really get people out there mobilized, frankly, because when you see that, like the John Wick movie, where John Wick's like, he just wants peace, like in the John Wick movie, he just wants to. He's like, listen, I want to retire, and they offer him like tons of money, like because they want him to be an assassin, to keep being an assassin. And they offer him tons of money. They threaten him. He's like, listen, I'm not going to be. I'm out, And they kill his dog. That was a bad idea. That was a
They
really.
killed that cute little puppy, and the puppy was his ex-wife's gift to him when she died of cancer.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Great movie.
The best revenge movie of all time. Because it's so ridiculous. He kills everybody.
He kills everyone.
And you're rooting for him.
Yeah. They shouldn't have killed his dog.
Yeah, they fucked up. And they shouldn't have killed that squirrel.
They shouldn't have killed that squirrel. I mean, it's like how many cases have we not heard about?
Oh, look at that little guy. And that squirrel clearly had a love relationship with that guy. He would hop all over him and climb on him. I mean, that was his pet. That squirrel thought of that man as his protector, as his companion. you
Yes.
know. There was nothing wrong with that. And in Texas, it's totally legal. You could have a fucking zebra out here. You could have whatever you want. And that's the argument for freedom. And, the flip side is
Yes.
you get a bunch of people with tigers in their backyard, which is
Yeah,
not
but-
great.
but it's like this was a fucking squirrel. It's not.
Right.
It's not an anaconda or a
Right.
or crocodile or something that's
Or a
gonna harm.
chimpanzee. Did you see Chimp Crazy?
Oh man, chimps will eat your face. Okay?
They will fuck you up.
They will fuck
And
you
they don't
up.
even, the thing is, they don't even kill you. They just cripple you. Chimps don't even kill people.
Yeah.
Which is really weird. They just bite your hands off and bite your dick off and tear your face apart.
Yes.
They want to leave you. They could kill you easily. If a chimp
Yeah.
wanted to just punch you in the head until you're dead, it wouldn't take long. But they don't kill you. They just rip you apart.
Yeah.
And you can have a chimp. And
Yeah,
you
but-
used to be able to have a chimp in a lot of states, and then Chimp Crazy kind of exposed a lot of that. And PETA did a great job of stopping people from keeping chimps as pets. Because once they hit like 5,
Yeah.
you can't control them anymore.
Well, it's obviously totally understandable if somebody's got, a creature that is dangerous to others. But
Right.
like, obviously, a squirrel and a raccoon are not.
Well,
And-
squirrels are fucking everywhere. That's what's so crazy.
yeah, like,
why
why not
can't you
just-
have it in the house? What kind of rules are we dealing with? You have rats everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, they're allowing criminals to go free and like violent criminals to go free, but they're like spending your tax dollars to come in and execute your fucking pets. What the hell's going on?
Exactly.
And it's like,
But it's overreach.
it's
And
it's government overreach, and this just keeps getting worse every year, and that's why we've got to fight back against this, it's people say like, well, it's just a squirrel. Well, it was in John Wick's case, it was just a dog.
Right. Yeah.
But
Well, remember the Russian guy said, it's a fucking dog. It's just a fucking
Yeah.
dog.
just a fucking
Yeah.
squirrel.
Yeah. Well, it's the funniest thing is when
So
I just don't understand how anybody could justify it. I don't understand how it seems to me that in a logical world, all that guy would have to do is say, why don't you see me with this squirrel? This squirrel's a pet.
Yeah.
Like, look, he hops on me, he eats, he sleeps. I can keep a gerbil, but I can't keep a squirrel. I can have a guinea pig. I can't have a squirrel. I can have a chinchilla. My daughter has a chinchilla. It's adorable. Adorable little thing. Climbs all
Right.
over. Can't have a squirrel.
Even if they did take a squirrel away, couldn't they have released it into the woods or something?
Well, it's a bit, the idea is you have to euthanize it because it's used to being fed. It doesn't know how to forage. It won't be able to like find a home.
Would have a
Squirrels are
chance.
brutal. Squirrels are absolutely brutal to each other. They throw each other out of trees, which is one of the reasons why squirrels like can fall from like 30 feet and just kind of bounce off the ground and live. It's like it's a natural adaptation because squirrels during mating, they bite each other. There used to be like a rumor. There was a myth that squirrels bite each other's nuts off, and
Okay.
that seems to be a myth. But it came out of the fact that squirrels are so ruthless during mating. So like one female is just running away. Like, I have squirrels in my backyard. I watch it all the time. One female apparently goes into estrus, and all the male squirrels fight to get to her. So they're running up trees and chasing each other around trees, literally throwing each other off trees to try to like. So if this poor
Sure.
little Peanut, the squirrel, who's used to living with a guy in an apartment, like gets out there in the wild world
Well,
of
fair enough,
squirrels.
but at least they have a chance.
Yeah. At least he has a chance.
At least
But
they have a chance.
how about just leave him with the guy?
Yeah, leave him with the guy for sure.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you killing that squirrel? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and then to add insult to injury, there were a bunch of people on the left who were like actually posting that they're glad that MAGA squirrel got killed, which is fucking.
MAGA squirrel.
Yeah.
Like the fucking squirrel has an ideology. It's a
It's
cute
just
little
fucking- yeah.
fluffy squirrel.
Exactly.
Well, it's
So,
a
I
nice
just-
symbol because most like reasonable, compassionate people think that's terrible, and most people who have
Yeah,
pets
exactly.
think it's terrible.
Terrible. So I don't know. I mean, I'm like, I hope people just go out there and vote for Peanut, man. If nothing else, if nothing else, just vote for Peanut. You know.
They've done such a job of painting Trump as a monster. You know, they've taken the worst things that he's ever said and he's not a perfect person, but guess what? No one's a perfect person. They
Yeah.
don't exist. This purity test, like if Obama was a perfect person, he wouldn't be lying on stage about
Yeah, exactly.
that very
The
fine
fine-
people hoax. There's
Exactly.
no one's going to be a perfect person, but the thing that they didn't understand about Trump is he's so crazy that if you tell him like he can't be president, like remember Obama did that during that White House press correspondence. There's one thing that I am that you'll never be president of the United States. And you see Trump in the audience going, "Okay, motherfucker." Like,
You know, the funny thing is, I was actually at that White House Correspondents' Dinner, where it's supposed to be a roast of the president.
Right.
Trump's there. He's there. He's actually supporting. It's basically, if you go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, you're there in support, actually, of the president and support of the press.
Right.
It's meant to be that you're roasting the president. Like Trump's just there. He's like actually, he's like there as part of the support. And then they turned it around and just started roasting Trump. And he's just sitting there. He's like, yo, I just came to the dinner. I wasn't. I'm just here to support.
We know what it was because of, right? The birther stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's what it all was. It was all Trump was at the head of a lot of these people spreading this rumor online that Obama's birth certificate was forged, then he's actually from Kenya. And what's weird is if you go back to Obama's early days, there are some things that say he's from Kenya. Like I think in his something from college said he was from Kenya. But that could just be, people print things wrong all the time. It doesn't mean he's actually from Kenya. But Trump was one of those guys that was like spreading that supposedly false rumor.
Was he pushing it hard? I mean, this is the kind of thing where I want to just go and look at saying, what did he actually say?
No, he definitely was.
Okay.
He was definitely saying, look, I don't think he has the time to go into things like very deeply.
Yeah.
And so I think he could probably be influenced by a bunch of people, like these Marjorie Taylor Greene type people who come to him with some wild ass theory.
Sure.
He might be, and I think there's a lot of that stuff that gets fed to people on purpose so that they'll say incorrect things so that they're easy to dismiss.
Sure.
And I think there's also a lot of people that just make shit up and, they tell you the earth is flat and then a bunch of people watch a YouTube video and they believe it.
Yeah, well, but on that White House Correspondents' Dinner, I was there, and the degree to which they attacked Trump at that White House Correspondents' Dinner was really, it was so over the top. It was like making everyone uncomfortable.
Really?
It was really over the top. I mean, I think it's like sort of a passing joke of like, a few passing jokes are fine, but they twisted the knife big on Trump. in that, and you could see Trump just getting like angrier and angrier and more upset.
I wonder if
and
that's
and it's like,
because-
man, this is not good karma, you know.
I
That's,
wonder-
that's what I was thinking at the time. I was two tables away from Trump, and I'm looking, I'm like, man, this is too much, you know.
Well, it's kind of crazy what they made out of that, because that's the kind of guy that if you tell him he can't do something, he's going to just keep trying. Like what?
It was a big mistake to rag on him so much at that White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Well, just look at the way they've attacked him with just using the legal system, like this thing in New York where the 34 different felony counts that
Yeah.
were essentially misdemeanors, that there are bookkeeping errors that they decided, even though it passed the statute of limitations, they decided to try him for
Yeah.
these.
This
They
is
didn't identify a felony.
Abuse of the law is what's going on.
But most people would have quit.
Yeah.
Most people, after the E. Jean Carroll lawsuit and this lawsuit and all the other ones, the insurrection thing, the Georgia thing, all these different things, they getting kicked off of Twitter. Most people would have just like, this is too much. I can't take this. But he's so fucking crazy. He's like, all right, come on, we're going to war, and he
Yeah.
just digs his fucking heels in and keeps going.
Yeah.
It's the wrong guy to do that to.
It is
Just
the wrong
like
guy to do that to.
attacking him at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, most people would have been humiliated. He got angry. And he's like, yeah, all right. You say I can't be president? I've been thinking about running for about 15 fucking years.
Right.
Finally, I'm going to run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a real bad move. But yeah, I mean, I can certainly understand like making some jokes about like, you know, a few sort of passing jokes on Trump. But man, I was there at that dinner and that they ragged on Trump so much it was insane.
The reason why I would push back on that, because I would say there's a bunch of different speakers, right? And Trump would obviously be a target. And if they all attacked him, it's because he's like, if you're going to make fun of people in the audience, and especially in the zeitgeist, that whole birther thing was big.
Yeah.
And most people were dismissing it as being a ridiculous conspiracy theory. So who the fuck is this guy saying this? And so
sure.
you have 8 to 10 individual speakers that are writing monologues. Of course, they're all going to hit Trump.
Yeah, well, anyway, obviously it was a mistake.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have done that. But like, I like, you know, invite people to watch the original source material, and I think a few jokes are fine. You know, it's like, but it's like he shouldn't be it felt like he was the primary object of the roast.
Yeah.
Which is that's not the whole point of the thing. Is it's the roast of the president, not a roast of the audience.
The thing about it is like he's easy to roast.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then on top of that, Obama was like loved and cherished by the left.
Yes.
And most of those people are on the left. There's only so far you can push. You know, you can't ask him about his chef. You know, there's like certain what happened with the chef, bro?
Yeah.
You can't. There's like certain things you can't
So
bring up.
you want to?
Yeah.
What's your favorite sport? Paddleboarding?
Yeah, wasn't that guy a really good swimmer?
Yeah.
Tell me what happened.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
You can't bring that up.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna roast Hillary, you can't bring up the death count.
Like Hillary, what's the best way to stay in touch? Email?
Yeah, it's if you're doing one of those
she
things.
destroyed the servers and poured like bleach on the servers, like computers.
She poured bleach on them?
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I believe. That's like it wasn't just like they took a hammer